Okay, we're live on, it looks like we're live on all of the channels here. Let's see, I need to, oh great, there goes a notification. That is fantastic. That makes me happy, happy, happy. Happy, happy, happy. Looks like something's going on over here on the Twitch as well. Great, I've got Twitch up, I've got the Rumble up here. The Rumble just started as I literally pointed at it. That was kind of fun. Let's refresh it anyway and see if it, there it is. One watching every time. One watching, man. Okay, let's see if we can fix that though. Right there. Right there. And I see you guys are coming in. We did get, oh, another.
Doc Hollandaise.
Hey, Doc.
Good morning, Nay.
Good morning.
Good to see you, buddy.
Good to see you too. Hello. How's it going? So we're live. Yes. This is a little crooked here, isn't it? Here, we want this. We want this like this. Let's just show the desk there. That's good.
Josh G.
Josh.
Good morning.
Hello. I've got my kafefe. I got my kafefe. And I got to take these pills. I'm going to take these pills right now.
Greg Griffiths. Hi, Nate.
Hey, Greg. How's it going, buddy? Close enough. Let's move some things over here. This can go here. That can go there. And here. This can go here. Ooh, my girlfriend left her cute little pink lighter. She left her pink little lighter here. That's cute. Okay. What else is going on here? Nothing. Good morning, everybody. So, you know, I had told my mom yesterday, I said, yeah, Donald Trump could be nominated as Speaker. I'm surprised somebody hasn't done it yet.
Greg Griffiths. I'm fine. You got a bit of a cold.
No. No, it was a month ago I had a cold, but it's all gone now. Completely over it. I was watching the news, and sure enough, Matt Gaetz nominated Donald Trump as Speaker of the Republican Party, Speaker of the House. And I said to my mom, there it is. And she was like, I didn't think it was possible. And I said, I told you it was. I don't know why you don't believe me. I said, but there you go. I mean, I don't tell you things and lie to you. I just don't understand why you don't believe me when I tell you, you know, Donald Trump could be nominated as Speaker of the House. He can't, he's never been a senator, she said. It's like, he doesn't have to be. So, boom, he gets nominated, you know, nobody cares. Of course nobody's going to vote for him. Because, I mean, do you really want a guy whose whole purpose in life has been to just lie to everybody? You really want him to be the Speaker of the House? I mean, it's bad enough to have Nancy Pelosi lying to our faces as much as she did. I still think we were getting a few less grains of lies from her than we would get from someone like Trump. But you really want to put someone like Donald Trump in there? And like, that's going to make things better? My goodness. So, of course not. Of course not. That's why Matt Gaetz, human trafficker Matt Gaetz, is, you know, wants to nominate, you know, compulsive liar Donald Trump into that position.
Brock all day. Good morning.
What an abomination these leaders are. 2023 United States leadership is an abomination. I'm talking every leadership position has been filled by morons. And then you've got Marjorie Taylor Greene, Miss Drama, claiming, oh, the Republicans don't want drama in the Republican Party. What? Do you know Don Lemon said the funniest thing on CNN this morning? He said, you know, Marjorie Taylor Greene should probably go introduce herself to Marjorie Taylor Greene. I was like, that was funny. Yeah, she should really get to know who Marjorie Taylor Greene is. Miss Drama, Miss Jew Lasers herself. Are you kidding me? And, she just wants so badly to sound like the voice of reason in the room. She wants to be the adult in the room so badly. And she's got her hair all perfect, and she's speaking all perfectly and succinctly and effortlessly, because it's all been planned out. You know what she's doing, obviously. She's going for another leadership position. She wants to act like she's in charge. These people are psychotic. And you got the prince admitting that, oh yeah, I was racist until I married my African American wife. What? God, what an idiot. Ugh.
Greg Griffiths. I don't think they're a decent candidate out there. They're taught to lie with a straight face.
Yeah, they are taught to lie with a straight face. Well, there are no decent candidates. That's true. You have to imagine, if you are running for a political office, you have ulterior motives. It's not because you want to help people. It's 99.999999999% of the time these politicians are doing it to increase their own personal power. Matt Gaetz gets off on the fact that he's in contact with Donald Trump. That's where he wants to be. He wants to be able to talk to these people. He wants to be in their circles. That's what it's all about, being in those circles. So you get invited to all the right parties. I was trolling somebody on Races this morning. I had such a go at this girl, and everyone was just sitting there watching me go after this girl. Nobody helped her. Nobody stood up for her. It was so funny. Her name was Asian Girl Better Trader Than You Are. What's her name? And then she's asking all these questions about trading. And I'm like, well, if you're the best trader in here, why do you need our opinions? And I started on that line and just took her down one point at a time. And then eventually she was trying to say I was mad. And I was like, really, I'm the mad one? I was like, why are you so upset about me calling you out for your bullshit? It's like, you've been responding to me this whole time. I'm like, your name is a troll. I like to troll trolls. And she's like, you must be a boomer. I'm like, no, I'm a Gen Xer. We're way better trolls. It was so fun. If you watch Races, like I do, we've got it up right there in the corner, then you would have seen that little back and forth this morning. It was pretty funny. You guys can have Races up anytime you want. It's on YouTube. Pull it up, see if they're buying or selling. Look at the market, see if it agrees with what Races is saying, and if you think that you notice those same patterns, Greg Griffiths, Brap all day. We don't have anybody over on the Twitch, huh? What is going on with Twitch? I wonder. What if I hit play? What happens? Do I come up? Reload player. Network here. Oh, there I am. Son of a gun. There I am, streaming on Twitch.
Joel Froggy. Hello.
Joel, what's up, buddy? How are you?
Joel Froggy. Not much.
Not much.
Brock all day. Coffee ready.
Good. You got your coffee ready. I'm going to set my coffee aside and bring out this other thing that holds liquid. I've got this other thing that holds liquid, among other things. It holds some liquid and some other things in this little dish here. We're going to put this into use. We're going to start some heat over here and do some inhalation over here. I'm using all the good words today. Everyone's calling longs on Bitcoin right now. Are we going to get a buy flag? We do have a Matic is showing a downward wedge pattern. Very strong. We can also see that downward wedge pattern on Binance. So also on Cardano. I wonder if these people know about that. It's a good downward wedge. It's on Matic, and that's going to result in a shot upwards. So let's see who's going to lead us out. Who's going to lead us out? And tomorrow is the weekend. What happens with trading on the weekends? I've never really taken note. Anyway, I'm going to smoke this. No law regarding cannabis. Cheers, everybody. Donkey? What the fuck? Who's he calling donkey? Buttercup? Resistor lady? Billy Turbo Jerko is going at it with some resistor lady. People are just I'm owning people on Twitter, and they're not responding because I own them with my responsives, so they don't say anything back. Yeah. He didn't want to respond to that. That's funny. He claimed I was using sock puppet accounts. And I'm like, show me which accounts you're talking about. Do you know who the people were he was accusing of being sock puppet accounts? Doc Hollandaise and I think it was Nick Brown or somebody. But I can't find that. For some reason. Multiple sock puppet accounts. Here we go. And show me where you ratioed me on a disagreement. You might be delusional. Show me an account you call sock puppet. You said I had you said I have supporters. He didn't respond. Silence. Right? Silence. Not an apology. Sorry, bro. I thought they were sock puppet accounts. I realize those are actual people that watch your show. No apology. Just silence. All right, whatever. You were wrong. I'll accept your non-apology as your loss. You guys made that possible. I want you to know that. Thank you. You guys make it possible for me to not have to boost my own shit.
Buenos dias.
Yeah, whatever. You're blocked. Have a nice go fuck yourself. Stupid cunt bitch. Anybody here to smoke? I think I'm going to put some more on there. Ooh, a seed. Ha! That makes me so happy. On multiple levels. Number one, I found a seed. Number two, I don't have to smoke that seed. Number three, it's fun for the show. As you guys know, that's Gorilla Glue 4. Every single one of those seeds is just, it's completely packed with power. It's very ultra potent.
Cheers, palsy people. So weird, LOL. O seed.
Cheers, palsy. People so weird. Cheers, palsy. Cheers, palsy. It's so funny you say palsy and it says palsy. I'm in palsy. Hey there, palsy wowsy. All right, this is what we're doing. Yet another. This is a huge seed. It's beautiful. Oh my god. So many seeds, bro. So many seeds. So many seeds. Also not looking good. Okay, it's bottom of the hour. Perfect timing. No law regarding cannabis. Cheers, everyone. Oh, here comes the spike. Here comes the fucking buy flag. I called this punch up on the downward, from that downward pattern, the downward wedge pattern. Look at this. Look at this bounce up, guys. I go into races and I do these predictions now live at races so these people can see that I'm nailing it. ETH is going to 1250 right now. Devil. Oh. I said downward wedge pattern 20 minutes ago. I said the whole value, the whole price of crypto is about to go up. I mostly saw it on Matic, but I saw it across the board. And it's on this video. You guys can go back 20 minutes. You'll literally hear me say that. I typed that into ratios. Oh, it's got a sting. I'm trolling this girl so hard. She's back in there in races. Uh, I just called ETH to 1250. It's at 1245. On a huge lower, on a huge drop, on a huge. It's not for kids. Stop talking about jail, dude. It's not for kids. We're having fun in this chat over there on Ratios, dude. You guys should go in there. Look at this. Looks like, and it looks like a giant upside down, and it looks like a giant upside down H and S is forming as well. So a drop won't hurt either. There seems to be a lot of excitement and health in the market today, which is really good. I like to see what people are saying in Ratios. There's 247 people in there watching that are interested in crypto, and there's only a few people that are talking. $760 Bitcoin. This is a hell of a breakout upwards. I imagine it's gonna be a moonshot.
Brop all day. That just dropped my boy off at school.
And the reason why is because it's such a long drop, such a big wedge. See, look at this huge wedge pattern. It's gigantic. So generally something like that will result in a big reaction. I wish I knew how high it was going to go. I wonder what the Bitcoin target is. $16.8. 72 is the 24-hour high. So I can't imagine it being any higher than that. God, there's a lot of people watching. You start typing in someone's name. You start typing in someone's name and a whole bunch of names pop up. That's funny. You could figure out everyone who's in the chat that way. $13.02.
Brock all day. My screen was black. Had to refresh.
Dude, 247. I said 250, right? I said ETH to 250. This is great. Dude, the whole market's turning around right now. I'm thinking Bitcoin will hit 16.8-ish. I don't know how much further than that it's going to go, but... We smoke bongs. Okay. Here we go. ETH is going to hit that 1250, man. Wow, here it is. Who said ETH to 1250? Boom! 1250! There it is, man. ETH to 1250, man. I did it. I told everyone ETH was going to 1250, and it did. Boom. That was my prediction. Bam! I say Bitcoin's going to hit 16.8. It's at 791. 792. 794. 799. Boom! 16.8. Oh my God. Boom! Right through it. Boom. I rocked it, man. Psh, I got the most accurate predictions. And I type them out and I say them out loud. It's all traceable. You can all go back and listen to my predictions and see that I got this stuff right. I can't believe I'm not putting thousands of dollars on these bets, bro. Because I do not know how to trade, but I know what the market's doing. I feel good about the market. I want to work for a trader, you know? On commission. I am like the seer of all future things. I am the Nostradamus.
Stephen running. Good morning.
What's up, Steve? How's it going, buddy? Dude, it is holding 1250 right where I said it would go. Man, dude. Are you guys impressed? Your screen was black? Wow, man. Both of my predictions hit exactly 1250 and 16800. Exactly. It went I think I saw it go up to 801. Wow. Let's get some goddamn volume up in here now. Get some volume trading and get above these numbers. This is where we got to be to keep going. So that's cool.
Brock all day. Screen went black again. Weird.
Sounds like an operating system issue. So that head and shoulders pattern isn't going to form. And we have to wait for the next pattern to form. See what's going to happen. We need some kind of... We're outside the falling wedge pattern. Man, we could go up to the top of the frickin' wedge. I mean, I wonder if that's the target. That would be 1257 Ethereum and 872 Bitcoin. Well, it wouldn't be 872. It looks like it's a little under like 870. So those would be my next target predictions. If we get volume, and I think we are right now. Yeah, there's plenty of volume. So my prediction is this. The next move is going to be the tops, which is 1257 Ethereum and Bitcoin to 16870. typing them in there. These guys are in here trading. God, could you imagine? Making money moves on this market. Bro, if you got into this trading game and you learned how to do it, you could make so much money so fast. Here we go. Here we go. Here comes the volume. So we've got a pump coming in on Ethereum, which is really the most important place right now. So let's see if Ethereum can stay strong. Like I said, it's my guess is 1257. It's at 1250. Yeah, there is a bunch of volume still coming in. 1251. 1251. It's got $6 to go from 1251 to get to my prediction. And I said Bitcoin to 872. It's at 770. I'm bathed in light. Sunshine on my head and shoulders. If the reverse makes me happy. Where do I want to be? Here or here? Here or here? Here or here? I think we'll go with that one. See a little bit more of the backdrop that way. Just a little bit more. I make profit going long or short, noob. When will you learn that? Dollar Joints TV. These guys are all betting. I love it. Someday I might do it. I don't know, man. You're going to look at a goddamn pattern. You're just going to, that's perfect. It's textbooked. This is exactly what it's going to do. I'm going to put money on that. That's the one that's going to fail, you know? That's the one that's going to reverse on you for whatever stupid reason. It's not an exact science. That's the thing. It's like looking for water with a fucking piece of metal, two pieces of metal. You know, it's hit or miss. There might be water there. There might not be. It has nothing to do with the two pieces of metal in your hands. question is this a reconsolidation right here? We got to see a high bottom on the minute candles, and we're not seeing that. So, we'll wait and see what happens. Give it one more minute. And then it looks like I would get liquidated if I had made a trade. You know, if it drops a certain level, and I had tried to bet that it was going to go up and it didn't, and it dropped a certain, I would get stop lost, right? So it better go up, man. This is it. This is make it or break it time. Am I right or am I wrong? My God, what have I done? Letting the days go by, letting the water hold me, and the days go by. After the money's gone, same as it ever was. This is not my beautiful house. $250. $250. Is it climb time? Is it climb time? Let's see how high we can get our minds. No law regarding cannabis, everybody. Let's call this one 420 Newfoundland at 8 minutes late. Cheers. No law regarding cannabis. $12.50. Better jump. It's totally going to jump. I feel it. It's going to break out above this wedge pattern. So, I mean, it already has. It's way outside the wedge pattern. And the thing is you guys can't really see that it's way outside the wedge pattern. But I can. I got to make the screen bigger for you. Because it's right here. And this line on Ethereum is what I'm looking at. This giant line. And this wedge pattern was going like this. Right? And then all of a sudden it's gone this far above. I think it's going to go all the way up to there. Because I have no idea what I'm doing or talking about. But I feel like the proportion of that wedge to the breakout should be similar. Where the top of that pattern starts from. I always see these Bollinger Bands going across and using that as the previous point of resistance. So I just imagine this little thing right now is just a reconsolidation on its way up. We can look and see what the rest of the market's doing. That's always a good indicator. So it's a little healthier now. We've got a few that are in the green, which is good. It's a good sign. A lot of zeros is a good sign. A lot of ones is a good sign in the red. So as more of these start going up, it usually means the market's on its way up. I wouldn't get too excited about it yet because there's nothing really high. 2% is not a high mark on the green. You know, if we saw something that was 7 or 8, it'd be a lot better. Let's see if something's going to jump. Maybe Solana. Where's Solana? It's at 1293. Solana's at 1293. ETH will hit 1,200 for sure, someone just said. No, it won't. It's so funny these people come in and say the market's going to dump, the market's going to dump. Big negative turnaround on everything. So during a spike, that's not common to see. So, oh, it's reversing. It's that turnaround that I just said is not common to see. It just reversed literally as I said that. So there was this giant hook downwards here and here. And it's still here on Matic. That's not good to see on a climb upwards, but you know, could it have been a healthy reconsolidation? Yes. Yes, very much so. What's Ratius is showing. Ratius is showing a buy.
Can you tell me the exact name of the strain that you showed me the other day? PLS.
Truffle or truffles. Mom, what about the ones by the front door?
I'm gonna do that right now.
Okay. And you did the ones on the tables?
Everything is done.
That was such a great strain. Truffles. TRUFFLEZ or TRUFFLES. They're usually, it's like the, there might be two different ones, you know, two different breeders. So you might want to check and make sure what you're getting. I don't know which one I had actually. That letter on the bag was hard to read. I don't know if it was a Z or an S. I told these guys ETH is going to 1257 and Bitcoin's going to 872, right? It's going to happen. It's got to go up that high because the perfection of that lowering wedge pattern. It's such a perfect example of a lowering wedge pattern. You guys can see it on the screen without me having to even show it to you. It's just obvious. You can see it on Harmony, the very first one, really clearly. Second one, Bitcoin. Third one, Ethereum. Matic is the fourth one. Cardano is the fifth one, ADA. Then Binance BNB is the sixth one. We'll do a quick check. We'll do a quick check here of the overall market. Nope, it's, you know what? It's not good. It's dropping. So this is why we check the overall market. The overall market is weakening. So we had Cardano was 2%, and that was out in the lead. It's not anymore. Now it's 1.92%. So we can literally just keep our eye on Cardano, which is on our screen. Now it says 1.88%.
Francesco Moro.
It's really bad.
Afghan skunk.
This whole thing could turn around and drop right now. It's very possible. Very possible. So keeping our eye on the rest of the market. Let's see if we get a pump, man, because we're desperate for one right now. Oh, man, Ratius is showing nice, healthy candles on the 15-minute chart. That's good. That's good. Let's see if Matic reverses, man. Matic needs that volume. Oh, Ethereum's got a ton of volume. It could switch and give us a yellow marker here. It could totally switch and give us a yellow marker on Ethereum. Just wait for that red, that big red thing to go green. If it does, then that marker above it will go yellow. And then we'll be okay, but we need some excitement around Ethereum. Come on, guys. Wow, dude, it's dropping fast. Everything's dropping. I don't think it's going to pump it. Holy shit.
Francesco Moro.
That's nice. She's got a big old watering can I didn't know about. It's a nail biter. The volume is there. I don't understand. There's plenty of volume. It's like the market's really pumping right now. Bitcoin especially. Dude, this should go way up. This should go past what I predicted. Boom. Volume spike. Volume spike. Cardano. Hold on. Come on. There's a yellow marker on Bitcoin, yellow marker on Matic, yellow marker on Cardano. There's slightly high bottoms on those yellow markers. That's good. Let's see what kind of volume comes in. Ethereum is just fighting at 1249. Holy moly.
Francesco Moro. Ahi Dog. Francesco Moro.
The yellow marker on Ethereum led to nothing. Wow, that's not good. Even though there's a lot of volume, man, I can't believe it. You can see it in the 24-hour. There's a ton of volume coming into the market right now. I really expect this to go up. I can't believe it's. But then again, we go through this every time. It always does this. It always does this for a few minutes when I think it's going to go up. It acts like it's going to go down for a while. I get like, whoa, what's up? And then, right? Maybe I should auctioneer it up. Did you guys make any money? I haven't made a lot of money, that's for sure. I've made $60, I think that's what it was. I made $60 on a long. I don't know what I made off the Harmony, probably nothing. I probably bought it when it was more expensive than it is right now. Double yellow markers on Bitcoin. It's very weak though. Very, very weak. It's very weak. It's low energy Jeb. Low energy Jeb. Low energy Jeb. It's very low energy Jeb. Low energy Jeb Bush. Low energy Jeb Bush. I can't even make my mouth look like that. I can't do it right. Excuse me. It's low energy Jeb. Giant spikes coming in on Binance. Giant spike coming in on Cardano. What's it mean? Cardano's way down, 1.16%, but it's going up. It was supposed to be at 2% and rising, and it's not. So this is really unhealthy market signal. Everything is on its way down when you check out the overall. The lowest is it's -7 VRA, then -4 UFO, then Shiba Inu is at -4, Flux is -4, or -3.5. But KDA is 1.92. Cardano is 1.2. Okay. It's trying to reverse right now. Let's see what happens. I have no idea. Not the healthiest, not the healthy pump I was expecting. I mean it started, but I was expecting it to go way higher, way faster. We might be forming some other kinds of patterns here I'm going to be looking for. Luckily, there's no head and shoulders pattern. Well, there's a giant head and shoulders pattern on Ethereum in the center of it. on the 24-hour. But Bitcoin kind of is refuting it. Not good. Um, hmm. Actually, it already dropped from that head and shoulders pattern, I guess. I think. So it looks like it kind of reset after all that. So let's just see what happens. The markets just opened up almost 20 minutes ago. Giant spike on Binance. Raishes is still saying buy.
Richard Rader. Cheers.
Richard Rader, cheers. The UCC has been formally mandated from Judge Glenn to review clawbacks from retail customers. Retail clawbacks are not pursued by the UCC. Peter Schiff, holy shit, dude. What took so long? Exactly what Mashinsky has been accused of doing was so obvious that it only took me a few minutes during a live debate over a year ago to figure it out. Had authorities acted sooner, investors' losses would have been greatly mitigated. Goddamn, thanks, Peter Schiff. God damn it. God damn, dude. Peter Schiff is talking to everybody in the chat on Twitter. This guy says, you think you're some kind of god, don't you? Peter Schiff responded and said, I never said that. Yes, we do. Exactly. Thank you, Peter Schiff. I wish they had listened to him when he warned us originally. He says, I warned you guys about Alex Mashinsky a year ago. We had a debate. I said to him during the debate, what you're doing is illegal or whatever. I pointed out nobody wanted to act on it. He says, we could have saved some of your crypto had we caught this sooner, but no one wanted to believe me. People are like, I remember the debate. Where's the goddamn link to it? All right, let's find the goddamn debate and we'll watch it. Wow, dude, 1 year ago, I found it. I found it instantly, dude.
Corey, and welcome to the inaugural Kitco Insights Interactive panel, broadcasting around the globe from Kitco's headquarters in Montreal. And we are starting off the series with a bang as we discuss if in this era of unprecedented fiscal and monetary stimulus, Bitcoin is the ultimate answer. Is Bitcoin the way to hedge against rising inflation and dollar debasement? Is it truly a superior store of value, or is its crash inevitable? As Bitcoin continues to evolve, hits new all-time highs, and brings in institutional investors, is it proving it has anti-fragility, or is it just way too soon to dismiss its existential threats, including crumbling under the thumb of regulation? All right, let's debate and discuss, and let's introduce our power panel. In the pro-Bitcoin corner, we have technology innovator and entrepreneur Alex Mashinsky, the man that helped disrupt analog phone service by inventing Voice over Internet Protocol, or VoIP. That's the tech that lets you make all those free calls on WhatsApp and Skype. Alex has gone from VoIP to MOIP, Money over Internet Protocol, now leading the movement to unbank. And Alex has founded at least 8 startups with exits over $3 billion, is currently the CEO, chairman, and co-founder of Celsius, a leading crypto lending and interest-yielding blockchain-based platform with over $25 billion in crypto assets. All right, in the anti-Bitcoin camp, Peter Schiff, founder and chief market strategist of Euro-Pacific Asset Management, best-selling author and renowned gold investor. The man that's called Bitcoin a Ponzi scheme and a giant pump and dump is also the man that correctly predicted the 2008 financial crisis, warning at least 2 years in advance that the housing market was going to collapse and wreak financial havoc. Peter is also the chairman of Schiff Gold and host of The Peter Schiff Show. Gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us live on Kitco. Good to have you both. All right. All right, now to be clear, Peter, we know you love gold, and Alex, we know you're not against gold, so this is not necessarily a gold versus Bitcoin debate. Our focus is whether Bitcoin can be the answer to fiat debasement and a long-term store of value, or is it ultimately destined to crash, as Peter says, and be as worthless as fool's gold? Now, Peter, you're no stranger to these debates, but we have a slightly looser format in this panel. We're going to start off a little differently with potential common ground between the two of you and get your outlooks on the U.S. economy and the U.S. dollar. Then we're going to discuss if Bitcoin is the potential answer, and you'll each be given a chance to make an opening statement with a maximum of 4 minutes. And then as we go through the questions, let's try and keep our answers under 2 minutes or so, but feel free to go at it. Then in the second half of this panel, we're going to open up the conversation to our viewers and ask some of the questions that they've submitted earlier, and ask the ones that will be coming in live, so viewers send those questions in the live chat box. All right, does that sound good?
Sure. Fine with me.
All right.
Sounds like a plan, yeah.
All right then, let's get started.
Josh G. This is gonna
All right,
be fun.
okay, as we mentioned, we're going to start off with where you may agree. So, Peter, give us your outlook on the US dollar with what many are calling irresponsible or reckless fiscal and monetary policies. Where do you see the dollar headed?
Well, I've had a bearish outlook on the dollar for quite some time, and the dollar has managed to stay afloat despite the fact that the underlying economic fundamentals for the dollar continue to deteriorate. In fact, our response to COVID only accelerated that process. We're printing way too much money. You can see the results in our exploding trade deficits, which are at all-time record highs, our budget deficits, which are at all-time record highs. The entire economy is a gigantic bubble. The reason that it hasn't collapsed yet is because the world still continues to have confidence in the dollar and confidence in the Fed's ability to rein in inflation. Inflation has now reared its head in a very conspicuous manner. Everybody is now talking about inflation, yet everybody expects either inflation to be transitory and just kind of go away on its own, or in the absence of that, they expect the Federal Reserve to do something about it. But I think when the world realizes that inflation is here to stay and that the Fed is going to do nothing about it except make it worse, the Fed really can't fight inflation. I mean, if it could, it would already be doing it. The reason it's not is because it can't. I mean, it could, but not without completely collapsing this house of cards economy that has been built atop the foundation that they've erected over the years, which is artificially low interest rates, excess consumption, debt borrowing, financial bubbles, and speculation, including what's happening with Bitcoin. And so there's no politically viable way for the Fed to take away the punch bowl. And so when when the markets realize this, I think support is going to drop out from the dollar. I mean, the Fed is going to keep printing dollars to buy up bonds.
He literally
to
predicted
artificially
this a
suppress
year
rates,
ago.
finance budget deficits,
Right
and
off the
sustain
bat.
asset bubbles. But they can only do that so long as foreigners are willing to hold dollars and invest them in U.S. financial assets, which I don't think they'll do. Then the bottom drops out of the dollar, and then the inflation really explodes. We see a much bigger increase in prices
I
than
never
what we're
thought I
already
would ever say
experiencing.
these words, and I
And
should
then we
have
reach
listened
the
to
point
Peter
where the
Schiff.
Fed either has to try to put out the fire or just let it completely burn the economy. But by then, interest rates have to rise dramatically, and the resulting financial crisis will make 2008 look like a Sunday school picnic. There won't be any bailouts, including for the U.S. government, which will have no choice but to default not only on a lot of its obligations like Social Security, but it won't be able to pay interest on the national debt, let alone the principal.
All right, you paint a pretty bleak picture there, Peter, but it is one that many are starting to adjust to, particularly as you point out that the Fed may be finding itself stuck between a rock and a hard place. So, Alex, where do you stand on this? Do you agree that this potentially irresponsible fiscal and monetary stimulus may lead to the ultimate collapse of the U.S. dollar?
Well, we have a history of about 700 fiat currencies. All of them lost over 90% of their value to date. So this is not a new idea. This is not something that we have to struggle with. I think we kind of created a new experiment when we went off the gold standard in 1971. So if you think of the dollar as a new experiment, it's about 41 years old, and Bitcoin is a new experiment that is 13 years old, right? So every time we had a recession since the 1970s, the Fed jumped in and reflated the economy. We are not really allowing our real economy to operate through cycles. The Fed and the Treasury are effectively restricting the economy. They're putting a safety net under the economy and reflating it to make sure that zombie companies and all this debt that we have disappears. And, so because of that, we have a dollar that is continuously losing value. We have to print more and more dollars. 2020 is one example. Before there was, it was obviously 2008. Before that, it was 2000. Before it was 1991. So all those recessions that we went through were effectively cured through a reflation that was done through printing of money, right? And now with printing trillions, we used to print just a few billions and people were shocked. But these days we are printing trillions and no one even cares. So 40% of all the dollars ever created were printed in the last 12 months.
Why is he talking about the
So
dollar?
the monetary inflation
For
was
so
40%. The stock market went up 40%.
Peter
But
Schiff must be
they're
going
telling us
crazy
it's
right
a
now.
consumer price index is only up 5%. So obviously, the numbers
He's
just
like, I
don't
just
match.
accused you and your
Yeah,
entire
the numbers don't match, as you
platform
say, and if the only thing that's backing the
of
U.S.
being
dollar
based
is the
on
full faith
lies.
of the U.S.
And
government,
why are you talking about
that
the US
seems
dollar?
to be waning, and it could be waning around the world as well with some of the geopolitical actions that we're seeing under the Biden administration. But as you say,
full-on OCD
inflation
mode
is
right
proving
now,
to
bro.
be rather sticky and not so transitory.
Hands
So
are
you
shaking.
agree
I'm
on
so
that
OCD.
point. Here's where I guess you disagree. Could Bitcoin provide the solution? Could Bitcoin be a store of value and preserve wealth? And let's get your opening statements. No more than 4 minutes, please.
Been
And
losing
Alex,
my wealth
we're
in
gonna
Bitcoin
start
ever
with
since I
you.
invested
Why
in
is
it.
Bitcoin the potential answer here?
So, look, we know that no fiat system out there can basically be reliable or can be relied on.
He's still talking
Meaning,
about
it
fiat.
doesn't matter if it's the Japanese central bank or European central banks or the Fed. They're all competing with each other to print as much money as possible.
He's still talking about
So the
fiat.
cure for the dollar is not to jump to another fiat system.
Fiat.
The cure for the dollar is to migrate from the fiat system or from fiat land into crypto land. And the reason crypto land is the promised land is because it has limited supply. There's no government, no one can come and generate more Bitcoin than 21 million.
Bitcoin.
That
No, you'll
was
just do it
originally
with other
programmed
cryptos, you
into it.
fucking
So
piece
that
of shit.
finite
Like
supply,
Cell. You
is
fucking
something
lying
that
piece of
is,
shit.
again, is not up to a government, is not up to
Yo, you
a
can't make
central
any more
bank or anybody
Bitcoin.
else. So because of that, we've seen for 13 years,
Wonder what Peter
every
Schiff
year,
is gonna say.
without exception,
I'm sorry,
for
I'm
13
interrupting.
years, crypto or Bitcoin
Let me know in the
specifically
chats
has
if you
beaten
guys are enjoying
the
this.
dollar, has
Please.
beaten gold,
Rumble.
has beaten any stock in the stock market.
I see
basically.
Notlin over there on Rumble.
Where
Hey,
today it's up
Notlin.
21
Good
million
morning.
percent. 21 million percent. So it beaten the champion of Wall Street, which I think is Tesla still, which is about 4,000% increase, by 2 orders of magnitude.
TRAFF1CK3R,
Right? So,
Gaetz, Nominates, Compulsive,
you can't
L1AR,
argue with that. It's the question is not will
I am
Bitcoin
Bro.
perform what it's supposed to do.
Rumble Rants.
Bitcoin already has done much
Notlin.
more than anyone
morning,
has
May.
anticipated. Right? So the question is,
Notlin.
are all the dollars in the world going to
Not seeing
migrate
any
into
clouds
crypto?
so far
Or
today.
are we going to
Beaming
live
face with
in
smiling
this
eyes, partying face.
Goldilocks of, pun intended, Goldilocks of both a fiat system and a traditional monetary system? I just don't see gold solving that problem for us because, again, the young generation doesn't want gold nuggets.
All right, Peter, we're going to let you respond to that.
Yeah, sure. I mean, first of all, the limited supply, I think, is irrelevant because a limited supply of nothing is nothing. I mean, Bitcoin doesn't have any actual value. I think its scarcity is just part of its marketing. And, you know, there's 14,000 other cryptocurrencies. There's an unlimited number of cryptocurrencies that can be created. They're created every day. You know, they could be virtually identical to Bitcoin. In fact, many of them are better than Bitcoin as far as how fast they can operate or the cost involved in operating them. But, you know, I don't look at Bitcoin as any kind of improvement on the fiat system we have now. I mean, it actually doesn't even work as well
I'm
as
late.
fiat
I don't
paper
know where I'm at.
currencies.
Top of
Bitcoin
the
is really a
hour.
fiat
Has it
digital
been that
currency.
long?
All of its
I don't know.
value
I don't remember the last time I
comes from
smoked.
confidence.
No
It comes
law
from
regarding
perception.
cannabis.
I mean,
Cheers.
right now,
I'm
people
bloody
don't
smoke
use
rings for you.
Bitcoin as a medium of exchange. They don't use it as a store of value. They speculate with it.
It's
I mean,
camera
people
froze.
collect Bitcoin. It's like a collectible digital token. Some people trade them, but a lot of people collect them. And the appeal of the collection is that you think collectors in the future are going to pay higher prices than you did. And yes, we've seen a spectacular
Richard Rader.
rise in the price of
Cheers.
Bitcoin as people have been hoarding them and buying them on the belief that they're going to get rich. And, you know, they believe they're going to get rich in the future because other people already bought them and now they are rich. And it's got all the dynamics of a pyramid scheme, a Ponzi scheme. You know, if you really want to move away
Cheers.
from the fiat system to a non-fiat digital-based system, there's already a mechanism to do that. Originally, before we had fiat currency, you mentioned we went off the gold standard in 1971, which was 50 years ago, not 40. But before that, the dollar was backed by gold. And before Roosevelt in 1933, the dollar was redeemable in gold. In fact, the dollar was gold. The bills were just Federal Reserve notes that were promises to pay real money, US dollars, which were made of gold. So we were on a gold standard, and we had paper money that we used because it was more efficient and convenient than carrying around gold. Well, we could do the same thing now. We could take blockchain technology and we can issue digital currency backed by real money, backed by gold. So we could take gold and put it in the digital age, and then gold would work much better digitally than Bitcoin, because it actually would be a reliable store of value. It would be a unit of account. It could be a medium of exchange. I could send ownership of my gold instantly around the world for free. I could do everything with gold that you could do with Bitcoin, except faster and cheaper, but I would actually have a real reliable store of value, because Bitcoin can never be a store of value because it has no value to store. When you have gold, you are storing the value of the metal. Right? Gold is a metal, it's a commodity, it's used in the world. Bitcoin is nothing, it's used for nothing, and so it has no value, so you can't store it. It has a price, and the price is a function of what people are willing to pay, but don't confuse price with value. Price is what you pay.
I'm just going to pause here for 1 second to say Peter's getting a few things wrong with Bitcoin. He is totally getting it. You can store Bitcoin. And calling it a Ponzi scheme is wrong too, because it's more of a currency than a Ponzi scheme, But as far as everything else he says, I'm totally in agreement with.
Value is what you get. When you buy Bitcoin, you may pay a high price, but you get no value.
All right,
So
Peter, we just want to,
respond
1
to
second,
this?
Alex. I will let you respond, but according to my feed here, I think we have Peter's shot stuck. And the good news is that we can still hear you, Peter. The good news is also you look great in your freeze frame. You're smiling and happy, but it does seem to be a bit of a connection interruption there. So we're going to try and fix Peter's shot. I'm assuming he can still hear you, Alex, while we're doing that. Peter, as we said, we could hear your entire argument, but unfortunately your picture froze there. But as I said, you were smiling and looking good, so it's not the end of the world. We're going to try and get our technical issues sorted out. But Alex, let me ask you this. To Peter's point, he says that Bitcoin has no value, that there's no utility. And one of the earliest issues has been whether Bitcoin has intrinsic value. Intrinsic value defined as the worth of an object or endeavor as derived in and of itself. So Alex, does Bitcoin have intrinsic value?
So just like gold and just like the dollar, Bitcoin derives its value from the fact that other people derives value to it, or it has certain value. Gold has zero value. Okay. Yes, you can use it in jewelry, and you can use it to build high fidelity electronic equipment, but that doesn't mean it has any value, right? But I want to focus on a different point. The issue is, look, Celsius 4 years ago, actually, when we launched Bitcoin, Ethereum, and we had a tokenized gold coin, which is exactly what Peter is talking about. So we ran already the experiment that Peter is talking about. We went to the community, which is millions of people, and we said to them, we don't sell them anything. They decide what they hodl, right? Do they want stable coins, which is US dollars? Do they want Bitcoin? Or do they want a tokenized gold, which is held by Brinks in a safe in London? And about 97% of the community said, we don't want this gold. We want Bitcoin, right? So we already did the vote. We already went through the process of deciding Bitcoin, gold, or fiat, right? And the problem, Peter, I'll let you talk. You talked very, very long time. So let me finish my points. Okay? The golden rule is to let the other guy talk.
Oh, shut up.
All right, Alex, you're taking over my job for me, but finish your sentence and we'll bring Peter in. Go ahead, Alex.
So the point is, since all the value is derived from the fact that all of us vote with our pockets for gold dollars or for Bitcoin. And the vote has been casted over the last 13 years. There's no argument about which one of these assets is the one that people trust, right? Or at least the people who decided to migrate their dollars from the fiat system. So we're not talking about a hypothetical. We're talking about $3 trillion that migrated from the fiat world to the crypto world. And since we all vote for it every day, right? We vote to hodl, we vote to basically not use the Bitcoin as a form of payment.
This guy was
we only
literally
use it as a
stealing
form,
from us.
as a store of value,
was
right? Again,
literally
the dollar
stealing
is a
from us this
phenomenal
whole
form of
time.
payment, but it's a horrible store of value.
He's sitting there
Bitcoin is
knowing
exactly
that he's
the
a
opposite. It's a
fucking
mirror
thief.
image. It's the other side of the
Motherfucker.
coin because it's an exceptional store of value, but it's a bad form of payment.
All right, Peter, let's have you respond to.
Yeah.
You guys, that's the
Alex's
owner of
notion that
Celsius.
consensus has
That's the
already
guy who ripped me
made
off
the decision.
$100,000.
Look, first of
That
all, yeah,
motherfucker
of course
right
people
there.
want to buy Bitcoin.
He's
They
being
don't want
criminally
it because
charged
they
in
want to
New
use
York.
it as a medium of exchange. They don't want it as a replacement for the dollar or the euro. They think they're going to get rich. People want to buy
going
Bitcoin
to
because they
prison.
think it's going to the moon, right? They don't think that's going to happen to gold. They know it's not going to happen to the dollar.
Dude, I should file
but when
charges
people
against him here in the
actually
state of
want
Florida.
a alternative
I
to
should
fiat
file- I should
money,
just go
something that can be
to the
both a
local
store of
government and
value,
just
a
file
unit of
criminal
account, and a
charges
medium of
against him.
exchange, then they
State's
would want
attorney's
to have
office.
your tokens backed by gold much more
He
than
fucking robbed me of
Bitcoin.
$100,000.
Bitcoin can never
I'm
be
gonna
a
file
store of
fucking
value. You
charges.
can buy Bitcoin today at 60,000,
And then just all
and in
the
a
other
month it
people
can be
would
at
jump in
10,000.
line
It can be
for a
lower.
class action
It's not a
lawsuit.
store of value. Just because it went way up,
Criminal.
that's a speculative asset. That's not a stable, conservative store of value. All you're looking at is a small window of time, and you're seeing this huge 10-year bubble where people have gambled and gotten rich, hodling something that's basically intrinsically worthless. And when you say something like gold has no value, well, basically, according to you, nothing has any value. There's no value in anything, and it's all worthless, and therefore we might as well buy Bitcoin because nothing on this earth has any actual value. And so, okay, then we can just ascribe
He
value.
wins.
Look, you said gold
Sounds
is
like an
worthless. Gold
idiot.
has no value.
Peter
That is
wins
such
the point.
nonsense.
All right, Alex, let Peter
I
finish
said-
that thought.
I said all three of them derive their value from exactly the same source, which is
No,
the
they
trust
don't.
group. Well,
No, they don't. Gold,
They do.
no,
Right?
gold,
I mean,
no. Bitcoin.
You agree that behind the US dollar, there's about $100 trillion of unfunded liability.
Look, well, I agree
Right?
that the dollar is a problem. Bitcoin is not the solution to that problem. It's a bigger problem.
That's what we have a
Bitcoin is
debate.
All right.
That's
Bitcoin is 100%
right?
faith,
Alex,
trust.
let's address Peter's point of whether Bitcoin is indeed a currency or a store of value asset, or is it a speculative asset? Because that was one of the counterpoints that Peter was making. So let's tackle that issue.
Again, I can say that gold is a speculative asset. Because
But
when you buy
focusing on
gold,
Bitcoin, should we be looking at it as a currency or store of
Bitcoin,
value?
gold, and US dollars are all speculative assets. They're all speculative assets. Why? Because they all depend every day on are there more buyers or sellers. Okay, the value of dollars is determined every day by how many buyers and sellers show up for the US dollar. And against all odds, the US dollar is increasing in value, right? In the last few weeks, against all odds, with the inflation numbers and the bond markets freezing and the COVID and everything else, more and more people are buying dollars. So because when there's this uncertainty, people feel more safe with the US dollar than with other fiat currencies. And the same way that the US dollar goes up and down in value, gold goes up and down in value, the same way Bitcoin goes up and down in value. The rules are exactly the same. Claiming that one of them is somehow different than another.
Yes, you are missing the fundamental difference here. I mean, when people demand dollars, it's because they need them to settle transactions. People are still using the dollar as a medium of exchange. First of all Americans need dollars to pay
buying
taxes.
dollars with
I mean,
what?
because taxes are required to be paid in dollars, so there's always going to be demand. But
This guy.
people are buying oil, OPEC prices oil in dollars. There are all sorts of global trades that are settled in dollars. There's an entire bond market that is in dollars. So the world is using dollars. Now, I agree, eventually they'll stop because they shouldn't be using dollars, but they are. So there's demand. There is demand for gold. I mean, only about 2 trillion of gold's, 13 trillion market cap is investors holding gold. The rest of it is used in industry, or central banks hold it as their main reserve other than fiat. But most of it is used. I mean, it's used in jewelry, it's used in electronics. There are people who need gold, and they buy gold every day because they need it. Nobody needs Bitcoin for anything. The only people, let me finish. The only people buying Bitcoin are people who think the price is going to go up. Earlier you said, does the institution buying Bitcoin prove that it's the new store of value? The only thing Bitcoin proves is that P.T. Barnum was right. There's a sucker born every minute, and those suckers are buying Bitcoin. This is without a doubt the biggest scam I've seen in my entire investment career. Of all the bubbles that I've witnessed, from the .com to housing, nothing can compare with the idiocy of Bitcoin and the complete the nonsense that I hear people say in support of Bitcoin, and the things that they say about gold to try to diminish its value, to try to create this false appeal for Bitcoin. I've never seen anything more ridiculous. Nothing that I heard people say during the .com bubble or the housing bubble can compare to the irrational comments that I hear every day from people about Bitcoin.
He is right about the gold.
All right, Alex, let's
Gold
talk
is
on the
definitely
utility
worth
aspect
money.
that Peter brings up. What
There
is
is a
Bitcoin's
demand, so it's worth
utility?
money.
Of course. It's
So
got
it's
value.
Peter and Jamie Dimon against the rest of the world. That's what it looks like.
Yeah.
But
Look, the whole world is not in on Bitcoin. Stop exaggerating.
Well, Peter, we have seen the adoption rate increase at a drastic pace, something like 2,300% just from the last quarter of 2019, about 880% from June of last year to this year. So the adoption rate is increasing exactly 2,300% since the third quarter of 2019. So the trend is pointing to mass adoption.
No, it's not pointing to mass adoption. Not even close. There are more people using it, but they're using it for speculation. They're not using it as a mean of exchange. They're not. It's not a currency. They're not doing anything with it.
Well, Peter, what would you say to the idea?
I have 1.5 million customers, so I think I know a little bit better than you.
He has
what they use.
1.5 million.
Yeah, they're gambling on Bitcoin. That's what they're doing.
Well, I met many of my customers.
Whoa, he has 1.5 million customers? What's he talking about? There's only like 450,000 of us. Now there's 1.5 million. He's inflating. He's making up bullshit, dude.
Customers, I can tell you most of them. Again, one Bitcoin is still one Bitcoin. The only thing that changed
Yes,
is
it's still
now
worthless.
it's taking $60,000 to buy one instead of $6,000 to buy one. So most of my customers, right? Most of my customers are trying to detach themselves from the dollar fiat system, and this is what we started the conversation.
Yes, and they think they're going to get rich in Bitcoin. If they thought if they think Bitcoin has stopped going up, they're going to want to sell their Bitcoin and buy stuff. They're going to want to spend it.
All
right, I want to change the focus to another point here for a second. Peter, you made the point that it's not really used as a system of currency. We are seeing more and more emerging markets start to use Bitcoin in Vietnam, in Kenya, in Nigeria. Individual peoples are using it daily to store and exchange value. And of course, we've had El Salvador make it a form of legal tender. But whether the increased use of Bitcoin as currency, Alex, we may see more regulation, because it seems that regulators are more threatened by Bitcoin as an alternative form of currency than they are as a store of value. So, Alex, we are starting to get a little bit of clarity on regulation, and that has seen some
what's Alex
institutional
going to say about
investment trickle in,
regulation, I wonder?
but it's still a giant question mark. So where do you see regulation and the potential of Bitcoin being outlawed completely? Do you think that it's safe to dismiss that as a threat, or is it still one of Bitcoin's ultimate existential threats, regulation and being outlawed? Alex.
Sure. So for the last 13 years, we've seen the world kind of divide into countries that think Bitcoin is bad and they completely basically banned it, or countries like China that say, we have our own version, we have a digital yuan, and we don't want Bitcoin to compete with the digital yuan. And you have the rest of the world, the Western, mostly the Western world, saying Bitcoin is here to stay. It's an asset class that our citizens have, and we're just going to tax it, right? So most of the regulation we see today are the rules about how do you custody digital assets, how do you tax them, how do you transact in them, and so on and so on. How do you avoid having anti-money laundering issue and stuff like that, right? So those are the regulation that we're seeing. So I would say that we operate in over 200 countries, and I can tell you most of the countries in the world are worried about, okay, how are you offering your services to the non-accredited investor, to the retail investor? How are you making sure that we can collect our taxes? And so on. Okay, we haven't had a single jurisdiction come to us and say, we think this is a Ponzi scheme, and because of that, we want you to shut down, or we want you to
Not yet, Alex, not yet. Can we safely rule out the threat of Bitcoin crumbling under the thumb of regulation, being potentially outlawed? To Peter's point, we've only got 13 years here as a track
so
record.
if you look at Australia, for example, right? You're from Australia, I think, originally.
South Africa, but close
South
enough.
Africa, sorry. I got mixed up with that accent. But in
Everyone does.
Australia,
It's not a problem.
the largest bank in Australia is currently offering, right in your checking account, you can hold Bitcoin, Ethereum, Litecoin, and so on, right? You're seeing the same thing now in the United States. You're seeing it being offered by many, many different providers. So I just don't see any further migration towards banning it. Just like it would be crazy for somebody to ban gold, right? To say, okay, gold is illegal, give me all your gold.
Well, that has happened before. That has happened before. Gold has been confiscated before. But Peter, let me ask you this. What do you think is the biggest existential threat to Bitcoin?
Well, Bitcoin itself is its biggest threat. I mean, all bubbles eventually find a pin. And, Bitcoin is ultimately going to implode. I don't think it's going to be outlawed. I mean, I definitely think it's going to be taxed. I mean, the governments want to get in on the action. They never like to rain on a parade. They always close the barn doors well after the horses have left. So, sure, they don't see a problem with Bitcoin because everybody who's in it loves it, because everybody is making money on paper. So they don't want to upset that. They just want their share, their piece of the action. They want to tax it. They also want to make sure that Bitcoin isn't used to circumvent any of their anti-money laundering rules. So they are going to impose more regulation on Bitcoin, which is going to make it even less efficient to use it than it is today, which is why, I mean, even if it wasn't as volatile as it is, none of these countries in Africa that you're mentioning, they can't use Bitcoin to buy stuff. It's so expensive to actually use for a small transaction. It would be prohibitively costly. And all the additional regulations that are coming are going to, make it even harder to actually use it if anybody wanted to use it, which they don't. But I do think that the attitudes that politicians have to Bitcoin will change after the next real big crash, and you have huge losses, and now you have a lot of people who are upset. That's what happened after the dot-com bubble popped. We got all kinds of new regulations, or the housing bubble. The government always waits till after there's a crisis, then they kind of blame it on capitalism, and they say, you see, we need more government to protect the public from getting ripped off. And so I'm sure that's going to happen when Bitcoin implodes and a lot of people lose money and a lot of people borrowed money to buy Bitcoin. And, it's going to be horror story after horror story. The government's going to step in, with more unfortunate regulations that are probably going to impact more legitimate investments. But that's what always happens. The people lose money and then the government uses it as an excuse to usurp more power. So I'm sure that's going to happen when this bubble pops.
Well, let me ask you this. Okay, go ahead, Alex, and then we'll circle back to Peter's point. Go ahead, Alex.
First, I agree that we live in the everything bubble. We have a bond bubble, we have a real estate bubble, we have a US dollar bubble. So all those, every one of those is 100 trillions or more. bubble. And here is Bitcoin, which is Bitcoin by itself is $1.5 trillion. So it's not even a miniature bubble. It's like it's not. You can't even find it on the map. That's how small of a bubble it is compared to the real bubbles, which are again these things I mentioned. So the issue is that most people who understand financial systems, they understand that they need to migrate from the old gold standard to the new gold standard, and the new gold standard is Bitcoin. Because
why the old gold standard works great? Why can't? What's wrong with the gold standard we have now? You can take digital technology and apply it to gold, and you own gold.
You know?
No, but it's easier to do that than Bitcoin. You're trying to take something that has no value.
Peter,
and let's all pretend it has value.
We offer today. You can open a Celsius wallet
because
and
I already explained that to you.
You can
People
earn
don't.
5% yield on tokenized gold. 5% yield.
We're
getting stuff and we say
People want
point
to gamble right now. You don't see the difference. People want to gamble on Bitcoin. They're not going to want it in the future once it crashes. People are not looking for an alternative to the dollar yet. They don't realize they need one. People still have confidence in the Fed. They have confidence in the dollar. But when people lose confidence in the monetary system, they can go back to the gold standard using digital currency, using the blockchain. But they're not going to go from one, bubble into another. Bitcoin is the ultimate confidence game. It has no value. It's all just a mass delusion.
Peter, let me ask you this. You're so convinced that Bitcoin is going to inevitably land up at zero. You said in one of your tweets you can see it going up to $100,000, even more, but that ultimately it's going to crash. So what do you think triggers this crash to zero, especially as we point out that more and more people are adopting Bitcoin? What is going to make all of these people change their mind and dump it and lead it to completely crumbling to zero? What's going to happen?
Well, I think all that has to happen is it really loses its momentum. I think maybe some of the institutional players, there's not that many that have come in, but some have come in to the extent that they decide to get out, that, the trade isn't working out for them. I mean, look, Bitcoin got up to 60,000 back, I think it was in April of this year. And basically that's where it is right now. I mean, it hasn't really made any additional
It made a new
ground.
all-time high.
Yeah, but it's sold off. I mean, right now we're about 60,000. We're a little bit below where we were.
As do most assets. Hit a new all-time high, dropped. Balances potentially hit
yes.
another one.
Are you moderating this, or are you just here to tout Bitcoin too? Is that your main goal?
I'm
I'm here to play both sides.
Matt Gaetz
I'm making a
should be
point
in
here. You don't
prison.
need to
The only
argue with
reason
me.
he
My
isn't
point is
highlighting
highlighting
the
the
to keep
price
him
facts.
free.
Go
Yeah,
ahead and
I
make your
know
point.
that. I know that. But let me finish making my point. You're the
Go
moderator.
ahead.
all
I
right?
know, and I will continue to do so. But
Yes,
finish
I
your
know,
point.
but
I can make my own case, no problem. I don't need help.
You're clearly biased, and I get that. You're part of the shills out there that are trying to get people to buy Bitcoin. You probably have a bunch of Bitcoin advertisers. And my point is, we've had an unprecedented amount of money spent advertising Bitcoin. I mean, every time I turn on financial television, all I see, one commercial after another, highly produced, very slick Madison Avenue campaign trying to get people to buy Bitcoin or some other crypto. All of this push, massive amounts of money spent, all kinds of retail people getting sucked in, and the price hasn't gone up. So what that tells me is that there's massive distribution going on. The stronger hands that got in early have been pumping this market up, and they are gradually unloading their digital tokens to the public. They're spending all this money to con people into buying what they want to sell.
There it is.
And yeah, you have some people that have Johnny come
36
lately that have
minutes
been
in.
attracted by the greed, which always happens at pops of every bubble. Some of the people who were negative early on throw in the towel, they capitulate. They need to get in on it because they've missed so much action. And you get some people that come in, and that's happened. But the momentum is going to drop. Bitcoin is going to crack. Maybe once it gets back down below 20,000, you'll have a lot more selling coming in. I think a lot of people have taken out loans against their Bitcoin, which they hadn't been able to do in the past. So you have a leverage bet now among the hodlers. I think when the margin calls come, there's not going to be a way to meet meet them. You're going to have forced liquidation. There's not going to be anybody to take the other side of the trade. It's not like you got a bunch of shorts in Bitcoin that are going to cover. It's just going to fall into a vacuum. The whole market is going to implode. The losses are going to be horrific. It doesn't take catalyst. It doesn't.
Alex, let's touch on Peter's point of leverage, because that has been a new development with Bitcoin, and there are a lot of people there that have taken out a lot of leverage against their Bitcoin trades. And as we know, when that happens, that it can cause a collapse very,
Do you guys want to hear that again? What triggers a Bitcoin crash? 36 minutes in. Here, check this out.
Got in early, have been pumping this market up, and they are.
It was actually before 36 minutes. Here, let's go. Let me just make sure it starts at 34 minutes.
But it sold off. I mean, right now we're about 60,000. We're a little bit below where we were.
As do most assets, if a new all-time high dropped, balances potentially hit another one.
Are you moderating this, or are you just here to tout Bitcoin too? Is that your main goal of Bitcoin?
I'm here to play both sides.
I'm making a point here. You don't need to argue with me. My
Whoa.
point is that.
Highlighting the price facts, Peter. Just go ahead and
I know that. I know that. But let me finish making my point. You're the moderator.
Go ahead. I know, and I will continue to do so. But
Yes,
finish
I
your
know,
point.
but
I can make my own case, no problem. I don't need help.
You're clearly biased, and I get that. You're part of the shills out there that are trying to get people to buy Bitcoin. You probably have a bunch of Bitcoin advertisers. And my point is, we've had an unprecedented amount of money spent advertising Bitcoin. I mean, every time I turn on financial television, all I see, one commercial after another, highly produced, very slick Madison Avenue campaign, trying to get people to buy Bitcoin.
Everything just disappeared off my screen.
All of this push, massive amounts of money spent, all kinds of retail people getting sucked in, and the price hasn't gone up. So what that tells me is that there's massive distribution going on. The stronger hands that got in early have been pumping this market up, and they are gradually unloading their digital tokens to the public. They're spending all this money to con people into buying what they want to sell. And yeah, you have some people that have Johnny-come-lately that have been attracted by the greed, which always happens at tops of every bubble. Some of the people who were negative early on throw in the towel, they capitulate. They need to get in on it because they've missed so much action. And you get some people that come in, and that's happened. But the momentum is going to drop.
Regarding cannabis,
Bitcoin is going to crack. Maybe once it gets back down below 20,000, you'll have a lot more selling coming in. I think a lot of people have taken out loans against their Bitcoin, which they hadn't been able to do in the past. So you have a leverage bet now among the hodlers. I think when the margin calls come, there's not going to be a way to meet them. You're going to have forced liquidation. There's not going to be anybody to take the other side of the trade. It's not like you got a bunch of shorts in Bitcoin that are going to cover. It's just going to fall into a vacuum. The whole market is going to implode. The losses are going to be horrific. It doesn't take catalyst. It doesn't.
Alex, let's touch on Peter's point of leverage, because that has been a new development with Bitcoin, and there are a lot of people there that have taken out a lot of leverage against their Bitcoin trades. And as we know, when that happens, that it can cause a collapse very, very quickly and very, very suddenly. So what's your answer to that, Alex?
Well, we again, I'm not talking hypotheticals, right? I mean, again, we have 1.5 million customers. Like you said, they hold over $25 billion worth of digital currencies, mostly Bitcoin. And when I give you facts, these are facts from the community. It's not some hyperbole from what this person thinks or that person thinks. So we don't see much leverage in the system. And the recent drop rate, by the way, from 69 to 60 was all liquidations on people who were on margin, meaning there's almost no margin left at that 55 to 60,000 level, right? So what's happening with Bitcoin every year or two is that a new base is being established, right? The base used to be 15,000, then it became 29,000. Now it's probably 45 to 50,000, and you're just not going to see Bitcoin go below that for a variety of reasons. And look, this is...
So you're a fucking liar, Alex, and right now Peter Schiff's about to call you out on your bullshit. You're a fucking douchebag liar.
Below those price levels. So,
price
Peter,
level?
look, it's not too late to buy Bitcoin. You know,
Well,
it's time for a shift. Peter, it's time for a shift.
If I want to lose money, it's not too late. I could buy Bitcoin and lose a bunch of money. I understand. I have a hard time believing that all of the margin debt somehow has been liquidated
Oh, just the money
on the move
that
back to
motherfucker stole
59,000.
from me.
That now
That's the money
there are
I've
no more
lost.
people that have debt on their
That
Bitcoin.
fucking
There's
dumb
no way
cunt
that's
motherfucker right there
all
stole from me.
exchanges disclose all the positions. They tell you exactly how many people are long, how many are shorts. Part of how Celsius creates yield is by lending to these institutions, to exchanges and institutions who are putting in the long or short position. So we know exactly what is the leverage is. And by the way, if you want to join our risk department, we need people who are anti-Bitcoin to come and tell us all the things we should
Are
worry
you
about.
talking
Is
about
Alex
just
tied
your
to
book of
Celsius?
business or throughout the entire world? You're telling me that there's no more leverage on
watching-
Bitcoin, that all the loans have been repaid?
We are dealing with 300 counterparties, right? So we watch the entire market. I'm not saying there's no leverage. I'm just telling you that the retail, you're talking about retail people buying on leverage, you can measure that very, very easily, right? That is something that is available. You can go to Open Glass, or you can go to a bunch of Masari. All of these platforms show you exactly the leverage. Let's put it this way: the stock market is at all-time leverage, right? The leverage in the stock market is the highest it's ever been in history.
Yeah, look, the stock market's a bubble too. I'm not going to deny
That's
that.
a bubble of hundreds of trillions of dollars. So
Well,
which
just
one
because
is a bigger bubble?
Bitcoin, just because
Which one is a
Bitcoin is
bigger
only
bubble?
Bitcoin is a bigger bubble in that the stock market has
the dollar market or the crypto market.
look, the stock market is overvalued, right? Bitcoin has no value. 100% of its price is a bubble.
Okay,
It's not worth anything.
we're going
All
to
of
shift
Bitcoin-
topics now. Alex, we're going to shift topics now. And yes, you can
You're
certainly make
siding
the
with him
point.
now. You're saying it's going to shift. So
We're going to shift from Schiff to Alex. And for the record, I own both gold and Bitcoin. I'm a white shoes kind of person. But now that I've disclosed my position,
I
but
own
Alex
gold
here.
too, so I'm
But
not
Alex-
anti-gold. I'm just.
As we know you are. But Alex, here's a question that many of our viewers have been asking as well, and that is the potential threat of a supercomputer, quantum computing. Many have suggested that a supercomputer could be the biggest threat, that it could someday break Bitcoin, if you will, that as quantum computers become powerful enough, they factor large prime numbers, which is a critical component of Bitcoin's public key cryptography. They would, in fact, be able to crack the public key cryptography, allowing users to hack both public and private key addresses. So, Alex, without necessarily getting too technical, but feel free to, how concerned are you about this potential threat of a supercomputer cracking the entire system?
So first, I think we're not there yet. We're probably 10 years away from.
That's not very reassuring there yet, but go ahead.
We have to worry about it. It's not something you don't worry about. So today, I think the best supercomputer that has, I think 600, just over 600 qubits is made by IBM, and that computer will take 1 billion years to crack Bitcoin. So when you get to just over 1,000 qubits, then you can say, okay, it's going to take less than 5 years to crack Bitcoin. But what's happening is that many of the latest technologies in cryptocurrencies are quantum resistant, meaning that the encryption and the prime number computation and everything else is done with elliptical curves and other things that prevent even quantum computers from breaking the code. So do we need to migrate to those technologies and those encryptions? Yes. But we don't need to do it tomorrow. So in 13 years, there haven't been anyone who broken the Bitcoin blockchain, and no hacker, no scammer, no one, right? I mean, there were people who stole coins from others because users were not managing their keys properly. But there's no one who's broken the Bitcoin blockchain. So I don't see the quantum computer dilemma as something that's going to cause people not to buy Bitcoin or not to migrate to Bitcoin.
But you said yet. And when we're talking about a timeline, we have gold with an established timeline of thousands of years. Bitcoin, yes, quite rightly, has way outperformed every inflation hedge asset in the last 13 years on a risk-adjusted basis. But we still don't have a timeline to safely say that it's not going to be susceptible to some kind of supercomputer or quantum attack. So you can't say that safely. When you say there's going to need to be upgrades and changes, what does that look like?
So I'm saying today there are many chains that are quantum computer resistant already. Not Bitcoin is not one of them. So what I'm saying is that Bitcoin will have to migrate as we get closer and closer to that 1,000 plus qubit quantum computer. We will need to migrate. We need to have Bitcoin, the chain itself, migrate to a different type of basically creating a different blockchain, right? Relying on different type of computation. So if Bitcoin does not migrate, then the users of Bitcoin will migrate because they'll say, okay, I'm afraid of this quantum computer risk, so I'm just going to move to this or that chain that is quantum resistant, right? So the crypto in general is quantum resistant. It's just that Bitcoin itself is usually the slowest one to adopt new technology.
Sounds like you're making Peter's point for him there, Alex. Go ahead, Peter.
I just want to comment on something that you said. Look, obviously, the risks of quantum computing. I mean, I think Bitcoin is going to collapse on its own before that risk really materializes. But when you talk about Bitcoin and you say it's outperformed every other inflation hedge, I don't think that's even fair to try to make that comparison because Bitcoin is not an inflation hedge. The reason it's gone up so much is because people want to gamble with it. People have not been looking for inflation hedges. People haven't been worried about inflation. They're finally talking about inflation now, but they're not really worried about it because they think the Fed is going to solve it. The problem is Bitcoin didn't come on the scene until about 2011. And that's when gold happened to top out at around 1900. But you forget that 10 years earlier, gold was below 300. So you had this very huge increase in the price of gold before Bitcoin came around. And then over the last 10 years, gold has really consolidated the gains of the prior decade during this everything bubble, when people haven't been interested in safe havens or inflation hedges. They've been gambling on everything from, stocks to cryptos. And so gold has just kind of gone sideways as everything else has bubbled up relative to gold. That's really how you measure the bubble. Just about every asset is overpriced in terms of gold during this 10-year time period. But I think what's happening now and what will be happening over this next 10 years is that people are going to start to be more cognizant of the risks of inflation, of the debasement of fiat currencies, of the speculative excesses in a lot of the markets, and people are going to be looking for safe havens and inflation hedges. And in that environment, they will return to gold and they will be selling their speculative assets, including Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies.
Well, Peter, to that point, hang on, Alex. We do have a chart to show, Peter, because over the past 12 years, Bitcoin has actually outperformed every other asset class on a risk-adjusted basis. It has a higher Sharpe ratio than gold stocks and fixed income products like TIPS, which are all considered traditional inflation hedges. So just based purely on past price performance, it's hard to say that Bitcoin has not been a good inflation hedge. And as inflation continues to be a growing concern, we're seeing more money potentially migrate to Bitcoin.
It's not an inflation hedge. Yes, I do not disagree that Bitcoin has gone way up in value.
Better than other inflation hedges.
Right, but it's not an inflation hedge. So you're going to tell me that Tesla stock is an inflation hedge because it's gone up more than gold. It is something that went up in price. That does not mean it's an inflation hedge.
How many years do we have to wait before you admit that, okay, here is an asset that's outperforming me every year? Bitcoin is the golden ticket to financial riches, and you
That's
don't
what
need to be
that's
Willy
the
Wonka
lie
to
that
get
the
one.
Bitcoin pumpers are selling. Yes, I know. Get rich quick. Buy Bitcoin and you're going to be rich. Yes, I know that. Right? That's why your customers own it. They've been sold a bill of goods. You have 1 million people who have bought into a dream. They bought into a fantasy, right? But somebody sold them those Bitcoin. Somebody got rich selling your customers their worthless
Actually,
Bitcoin.
most
Your
of these
customers
Bitcoins
are
have
going to be
been
the bag
mined.
holder. How are you going to feel about that? How are you going to explain that?
Most of these Bitcoins have been mined.
48 minutes in, dude. Listen to that shit.
Stock is an inflation hedge because it's gone up more than gold.
How
It
many
is
years do we have to
something
wait?
that went
How
up
many
in
years?
price.
If
That
every
does
year
not mean it's an
we get the same
inflation hedge.
results, how many years do we have to wait before you admit that, okay, here's an asset that's outperforming me every year? Bitcoin is the golden ticket to financial riches, and you don't need to be Willy Wonka
That's the lie
to
that
get
the
one.
Bitcoin pumpers are selling. Yes, I know. Get rich quick. Buy Bitcoin and you're going to be rich. Yes, I know that. Right? That's why your customers own it. They've been sold a bill of goods. You have 1 million people who have bought into a dream. They bought into a fantasy, right? But somebody sold them those Bitcoin. Somebody got rich selling your customers their worthless Bitcoin.
Most
Your
of these
customers
Bitcoins
are going to be
have
the
been
bag
mined.
holder. How are you going to feel
Most
about
of
that?
these-
How are you going to
Most
explain
Most
that?
of these Bitcoins,
Shame on you, Alex.
have been mined,
Shame on you.
out of existence.
A waiter at the
These are
next
new Bitcoins
restaurant
being mined. Until
you
we reach
eat it
20
is one of the people that you
Yes, they were
fucking ripped
created.
off
Somebody
and is
solved
serving
the
you your
problem.
food,
They were
and you're gonna have to
minted.
wonder what the
They
fuck
They
you're
were
eating.
minted just like
Fuck
gold
you.
is being mined and minted, exactly the same
Josh
way.
No, you solved the problem.
May I
Hey.
just
So when you
want to
mine
say,
gold, you
really
take a
enjoying
valuable
this.
metal out of the ground and you
solve the
bring it up into
problem.
and
It's
make it
hard
into
to
something
hold
that
my
can be
tongue
used.
watching.
Bitcoin has no value. It's
I
nothing.
got you, Josh.
All
I
right.
guess
Well,
we agree
I
to
am
disagree.
enjoying. I am. Well, this is kind of what we thought would happen. I personally am enjoying this fiery exchange. So are our viewers, based on the comments. And I think it's time to bring in some of our viewer questions. And Alex, I'm going to start with you. How are you going to use Bitcoin in 10 to 15 years? Best case scenario, and what does that mean with regards to transaction costs?
So what a person wants to do is hodl or save as many Bitcoins as they can. You should not be using your Bitcoins. You should be borrowing fiat or dollars against your Bitcoin and spending those dollars. That's what the rich people do. They borrow against their real estate. They borrow against their stocks and bonds, and they allow them to continue to
So he
appreciate.
can rip us
and in
all
turn,
off.
Basically,
Give me
they
all your life
defer their
savings. I'm
taxes
going
on
to
all their
rip you. And
capital gains.
he
So
said this.
you can do that.
Alex Mashinsky said this while he was ripping us off. Understand that. Oh my God. Can we go back? He's telling everyone give up their life savings, okay? Sell mortgage again, borrow against your home. Get rid of everything. And while he's telling everyone this, and Peter Schiff is laughing at him, what a laughing stock, because he knows. He knows. And look at this swine, this human piece of freaking
Daniel
garbage.
Andresi. Hey, nay.
Tell people at the moment that he knows he's robbing us that we should give him everything that we've got.
Kind of what we
Stephen
thought would
Running.
happen. I personally am
Criminal
enjoying the
behavior.
fiery exchange. So are our viewers, based on the comments. And I think it's time to
Bong
bring
rip.
in
I
some
need
of
a
our
bong
viewer
rip.
questions.
Cheers to
And,
Peter Schiff
Alex, I'm
for
going to
warning
start
us.
with you.
He
How are
warned
you
us.
going to use Bitcoin
Thank
in
you,
10
Peter.
to 15
Cheers.
years? Best
And
case
fuck Alex
scenario.
Mashinsky. I hope you
And
go to
what does that
prison.
mean with regards to transaction
Did you
Cheers.
hear about last HT's
So what
X-Class
a
solar
person wants
player
to do
that is
is hodl
Earth-facing?
or save as many Bitcoins as they can. You should not be using your Bitcoins. You should be borrowing fiat or dollars against your Bitcoin and spending those dollars. That's what the rich people do. They borrow against their real estate, they borrow against their stocks and bonds, and they allow them to continue to appreciate. And in turn, basically, they defer their taxes on all their capital gains. So here is, you can do that even with $100, right? You can basically join the club of how the rich people make and save and store their value, but you should use digital assets instead of stocks or bonds, because those are already trading at all-time highs, and you don't want to buy these things at their highs.
All right, another question.
That is the worst financial advice you could give. You're
I
telling
don't
people to
give
take
financial
highly.
advice. That's
You
what
just
I
gave
do.
it. You told people to borrow
I
money
said-
against their Bitcoin. You
I
told them to
said
go
what-
on leverage and take out loans and borrow money. I mean, you know who's going to
explained to
lose
people
even
what
more
I
money
do.
though? The lenders. Anyone dumb enough to lend on Bitcoin, because once Bitcoin implodes, the lenders are going to take a huge hit. That's what happened in the mortgage market. With the subprime market. And I always said this when I was warning about it and encouraging people to short the subprime market. I knew that the lenders were going to be left holding the bag when the people who borrowed money to buy houses couldn't repay their loans. Well, the people who borrow money against their Bitcoin, ultimately, they're not going to have the money back, because I think Bitcoin is going to collapse so fast that the lenders are not going to be able to liquidate the Bitcoin fast enough to recover the loans. And so there's going to be a huge loss among the lending communities because they loaned against a phony asset.
There was just an article in Forbes that listed the 10 richest people in the world and how none of them paid any taxes. And when they dug through their taxes, they realized all of them borrowed against their stock. All of them. Jeff Bezos and Warren Buffett and Steve Jobs. And
What's your point? But at least look, at least stocks are real assets. Many of them pay dividends that you can use to make your margin payment.
Bitcoin
But
pays
look,
dividends, Peter. Bitcoin pays dividends by Celsius.
How does Bitcoin pay a dividend?
6.2% dividend. Because we earn yield.
How do you earn yield on Bitcoin? What do you do to generate income on that Bitcoin?
I'm happy to spend an hour with you.
Yeah,
No!
you're trading it. You got to be
No!
taking.
It doesn't take an hour for you to say how you earn yield on Bitcoin, Alex, you fucking piece of shit. You were stealing from us. We weren't earning yield. You were taking our Bitcoin and making bad bets on shit like Luna, and that shit was crashing. And you fucked us. That's what you did, you fucking piece of shit.
Tremendous amount of risk. The Bitcoin itself doesn't generate any yield.
It does. Just like
How?
any other asset can generate yield. Gold.
No, but
we
what
got gold.
earnings
Here,
does the
gold-
Bitcoin generate?
Gold generates 5.5% at Celsius. Yield.
No,
Tokenized
what are you
gold
doing to
generates
generate that?
5.5%.
You must be taking tremendous risk to generate those returns.
Turbo Jerko.
Of course you are.
Nay.
Okay.
You're not. Of course you
You
must
can't
be.
say Gaetz is a sex
You-
trafficker.
Again,
Yeah, I can. And I'll say it right now on my show. Thanks for bringing it up. Matt Gaetz is a human trafficker. He traffics in human beings. Absolutely. He's been caught.
I'm not giving.
You might want to go research that before you tell me what I can and can't say on my fucking show.
Financial advice. I'm just explaining that this is
Interest
an
rates are
amazing
practically
opportunity, an
zero.
amazing
How can you
opportunity
get
for people.
5% interest on gold?
It's an amazing opportunity for people to unbank
And
themselves.
hey, motherfucker, don't put words in my mouth, okay, you bitch? I didn't say sex trafficker. Go read the fucking title again, dumbass.
Right? Take
Yeah,
advantage of this
you know
market.
who also had an amazing opportunity? Madoff. Bernie Madoff had an amazing opportunity
All right,
too.
Alex,
Yeah.
we want to bring in another question for
Even your
you.
own son,
Test
even
just
your
a
own
pimp.
son chose Bitcoin, and
Yeah,
you
he's
know,
19. He's 19. Yeah.
A pimp that pimps out underage girls, just like Andrew Tate does. What the fuck's wrong with you, dude? You support human trafficking? Wow, it's so weird.
Yes, okay.
Yeah, and
You know,
he-
Peter,
Yes,
there's a
great
theory out
endorsement.
there.
Yeah, what does he
Peter,
know?
There's a theory out there that between you and your son, you've got this whole thing worked out, that he plays Bitcoin, you play gold, and it's actually quite ingenious.
Dude, Matt Gaetz just nominated Donald Trump for Speaker of the House. You want that lying fucking cunt to be Speaker of the House? Donald Trump? Really? Wow, man. Crazy.
Genius. And a lot of people applaud you for that.
Your son is making you look
Look, I
like a gold
invest money.
You know,
Gold,
it's
look,
like,
gold,
right,
I recognize
Alex,
what gold
I have
is,
some serious
but it's not like I've
questions
got
for you.
everything I own in gold. But I recognize that gold is real money, and that gold is the answer to the fiat currency problem. And I believe the world will return to a gold standard. I mean, the norm throughout history is that we're going to be on a gold standard. We will never be on a
it's a new
Bitcoin
gold
standard.
standard. It's a new gold standard called
No, it's
Bitcoin.
not. It's a
All right,
fool's
Alex,
gold.
Let's
It's
do
never
this
going to be a
again in a
standard.
year and take a look and see what happened. Okay,
Well, that is one of the
Yeah,
questions
I'm
for
looking
Peter,
at it now.
actually. Gentlemen, that is one of the questions for Peter, actually.
Do you guys
Is
hear
there a
that?
certain timeline by which you will say, I was wrong? What needs to happen? Will you still be alive by that timeline? Is there any point that you will perhaps change your views, much like people like Kevin O'Leary have come around and said, you know what, let's reconsider this. What do you need to
Kevin
see
O'Leary
happen?
came around because he got bought off, he got involved in a
Well-
crypto-related company. That's how everybody
FTX?
converts. Once they have a
question-
vested interest
Boom!
in making money off the insanity, they join the crowd. That's what's happened.
Dude, he nailed it right there. Fucking Peter Schiff just nailed that shit. This was a year ago.
But
Is
a
there
lot of the
any
people,
point in time,
about
Peter, that you
10%
could
yield on
change
your
your
dollar?
mind?
on your
what
virtual
I've
asset.
told other people is, look, if Bitcoin can actually succeed on a large scale
Turbo Jerko.
as being money,
Derail.
and what that would mean is if
Daniel
Bitcoin
Anderson.
is circulating in an
Last
economy,
HT's
let's even see
X-Class
if it can
solar
happen in
flare
El
that was
Salvador. But if
Earth-facing,
Bitcoin
and they
is
said it could be as bad as the 1859 Carrington event, which knocked out telegraph lines and our grid, if that happened to Earth nowadays.
Yeah, let us know when it happens, bro.
circulating so that the only medium of exchange is Bitcoin. You get paid your salary. It's denominated in Bitcoin. You work for Bitcoin. Your salary is fixed in a quantity of Bitcoin. Your rent is fixed in a quantity of Bitcoin. You go out and buy an insurance policy. Your premiums are in Bitcoin, denominated in Bitcoin. The benefits are paid in Bitcoin. If your house burns down, you get a certain amount of Bitcoin, right? You get the car. It's all in Bitcoin. We have a Bitcoin world. When you go to a store and you see the
Francesco
prices,
Moro.
the only prices you see are Satoshis. You don't see dollar signs. You don't see euros.
You don't need
Everything
one or
is
the
in
other.
Bitcoin.
Peter, you don't. It's not a world where only 100% Bitcoin or zero Bitcoin. Okay.
I
We
want to
live
see
in a world
Bitcoin
in which-
function as money.
in which
Gold
we live in a-
used to be money.
we live
Gold
in a
functions
world.
as money.
We live in a world in which we have the dollar as the
Daniel
form
Anderson.
of payment, and we have
I just noticed
Bitcoin
that you
as
cut your hair.
the
Looks
store of
good.
value. And just like
No,
Gaetz
it has no value to store.
Not
You
gonna
cannot be a
happen.
store of value without value.
and yet here
Alex,
we
you
are.
can't store what
And yet
you
here
don't
we
have.
are with 3 trillion
How can you store?
in
Even
value
you agree.
stored in
Wait,
digital
Okay, all
assets.
right.
You agree that the only value Bitcoin has is the value that people perceive it has. It's only because people think
I
it's
don't
worth
agree.
something.
That's what I'm.
Okay,
That's what
hang on,
I'm
So
Peter,
what
let
if
Alex
people
address
stop
this
believing?
issue.
What
Let
if
Alex
people
address this
stop
issue.
believing in
Peter,
we'll ask the
Bitcoin?
quantum computer to tell us.
No,
when
Alex,
answer my
let's
question.
answer
What
Peter's
happens if
question on
people stop
utility.
believing in Bitcoin?
Alex, let's answer Peter's question on utility and transaction.
What if people stop believing in Bitcoin? Then what
All
happens?
the things today, what's happening today is that our financial system, or TRAFF1CK, traditional finance, is being reinvented on the blockchain. Everything Peter talked about, insurance, payments, real estate settlements, everything, NFTs, right, non-fungible assets, all of
not
that is
Bitcoin.
migrating.
Answer
All of that
my
is
question.
migrating from
What happens if people
traditional
stop
finance
believing in
into
Bitcoin?
You can keep interrupting me. That doesn't change reality.
You just look. I'm trying to get you to answer the question.
No, I am trying.
You
to
said the only
explain-
value Bitcoin has is that people think it has
I'm asking.
value.
I'm
So what if
answering
they
a
stop
question.
believing
Let's
Okay,
keep
when
it
you become
civilized.
the
Let's keep it
moderator,
civilized.
then I can answer your question.
Let's keep it civilized, please.
All right,
Peter,
so you
give
don't have an
Alex a
answer. I
chance.
didn't think so.
Let's give Alex a chance to answer the question. Alex, Peter's question was what happens if people just stop believing in Bitcoin if it's largely driven by consensus? What happens then?
Well, if they stop believing in Bitcoin, that means they found something that is much more believable. And today, nothing exists that is more believable than Bitcoin. Unfortunately, we live in a Willy Wonka's world where, again, our government and our Fed thinks that you can print $10 trillion and nothing happens. Okay, now I believe that the economy still exists, that there is supply and demand, the rules of supply and demand still exist, and that you cannot continuously print money and think that it's not going to lose all of its value.
Okay, Alex, I want to bring in some of the viewer questions as we're starting to run out of time here. I do want to bring in some of the viewer questions. And Alex, you're very popular with our viewers. They want to know if Bitcoin is so superior, why aren't central banks buying it?
Well, again, it's like Peter buying it, right? He's never going to buy Bitcoin, right? It's against his book, right? All of his customers are basically holding gold or other gold mining assets, all kind of other things. And it's very hard for an incumbent. It's very hard for someone who prints their own currency, right? All of these central banks, they have a printing machine that allows them to print unlimited money, their own money, right? Their own currency. So I don't see any central bank migrating to Bitcoin, or at least none of the main ones, none of the main currencies. You're seeing El Salvador and other countries because they don't have their own currency, right? El Salvador is basically relying on the US dollar.
What's up?
Paraguay is relying on the US dollar. All the countries that kind of elected or thinking about adding Bitcoin as a reserve currency or as a replacement for the dollar don't have their own currency.
All right, let's ask you this, Alex. If second layer protocols like Lightning improve efficiency and lower costs of transactions, that was one of the points we wanted to make earlier, would more people adopt Bitcoin as a medium of exchange? What is the advantage of paying with Bitcoin over paying with a debit card, for example?
So let's do, it's a great question. Let's do a thought experiment. Let's say that a year ago, you trusted Tesla founder, right, Elon Musk, and you did the exchange. He said to you, look, I'll sell you a Tesla for, back then, I think Bitcoin was $6,000. So for 10 Bitcoin, I will give you one Tesla. Do you want to, are you still happy with that transaction? It doesn't matter if you use Lightning layer 2 or if you use Bitcoin layer 1. Are you happy with the transaction, or do you want to reverse that transaction? So the fundamental issue we have is that Bitcoin appreciates so much that anyone who ever bought anything with Bitcoin hates that product. You hate your Tesla, you hate your sofa, you hate the diamonds that you bought your wife because it cost you 10 times as much. So it is not formal payment. It is a store of value. We can pretend that it's a form of payment. We can prove that we can pay for something, but are we happy with that transaction? Right? When you buy a cup of coffee at Starbucks and you pay $5, you're not thinking about, oh my God, this cup of coffee now costs me $50.
So it doesn't need to be a currency for it to succeed.
A form of payment.
You view it as a store of value. All right, Peter,
we have the world's best store of value. Yes.
Well, that's what we're busy discussing, and we know Peter disagrees. I think we lost Peter's feed for a minute there. That's why things were so quiet and civilized for a second. But and we managed to get you a chance to answer some questions, which was great. But Peter, I think we have you back, and I do have a question for you, and that is from Gleep, and he wants to know how you. Oh, actually, Peter is offline. We don't have Peter anymore. So, Alex, more questions for you as we start to wrap this up and potentially try to get Peter back on so we give him a chance for his sort of final statements there.
I think he's resetting his modem, dial-up modem.
Turbo Jericho. It
Well,
relies
Puerto
on faith,
Rico.
just like
Okay, let's ask
dollar.
you this, Alex. How do investors reconcile the huge price swings and the safety argument?
So look, no one is arguing that Bitcoin is not volatile. It's 80 volt, right? It's one of the most volatile assets out there. The issue is, as an investor, you have to have a strategy against it. So for what I do, again, this is not financial advice. I'm just sharing with viewers what I do, right? So I buy a little bit of Bitcoin every month. I buy a little bit of Ethereum every month,
Turbo
right? And that's called averaging
Thanks,
in,
Nixon.
right? But you also have to look at total allocation. So you have to say to yourself, okay, I want 20% of my assets to be in Bitcoin, and if suddenly Bitcoin runs up and it's now 30% of your assets, you also need to sell. You need to basically rebalance your portfolio. So it's hodling, right? Buying, averaging over a period of time, and rebalancing. But no one is arguing that Bitcoin is not a volatile asset. It's just a very good asset that has a lot of volatility.
All right, well, this is a
Human love
question that I would
solidarity.
like to ask you.
Circulating
Does
currency
Ether
is
or do
healthy.
the newer
The
coins that are
1%
cheaper,
are hoarding
potentially more
money.
powerful, more efficient,
Turbo Jerko.
effectively
No pressure has all the gold.
represent a new supply of crypto? Does this dilute the value of Bitcoin, or do we regard Bitcoin as a class of its own?
So, like Peter said, right, there's 14,000 different digital assets, and they all compete with each other. There's no question that when a new asset is created or a new asset is being added, that it competes with other
Who
issued
holds your
assets. But
gold,
like you
though?
said, the community is growing so fast. We're adding hundreds of millions of new users that really the demand for all these assets is growing even faster than the total supply of different assets. Now, bad projects are going to go away over time. They're going to disappear over time. And more users are going to have to migrate to the quality assets. So if you look at the top 100, those usually are considered the quality assets, and each person has to do their homework and understand just buying Dogecoin because you read about it on the internet is not an investment strategy. Okay, that is not a path to riches or a way to really get into the crypto space. So again, you can take dollars, convert them into stable coins, right? Earn 10% or use them for
Turbo
other
Jerko.
means and not take any directional
Don't
risk,
lie to
right?
yourself.
Or you can buy Bitcoin,
Daniel
Ethereum. These are the
Andresi.
two kind of marquee assets.
Stocks and
Anything beyond
Bitcoin is
that
like an
is
elevator
the
job.
Wild
It
West,
has
and
its
you do have
UPS
to be
and
very careful.
downs.
All right, well, we did see an upgrade to Bitcoin, the Taproot upgrade, and with it, the new Bitcoin network is going to be able to process more smart contracts like Ethereum does. So effectively, the gap is narrowed, and transactions in general have become more data efficient, optimizing block capacity and leading to lower transaction fees. As you say, this now gives Bitcoin more utility. But what upgrades need to happen to make sure that people do continue to choose Bitcoin over some of the other cryptocurrencies that you say may be better quality or more effective?
So we talked about security, right? So making sure that we
Turbo
are
Jerko.
resistant to quantum computers,
Peter is
making
Jimmy
sure
Swaggart of
that
crypto.
we continue to use best practices as far as implementing the best security, making sure that Bitcoin is not in danger, but also ease of use. Today, 99% of the population in the world has a problem figuring out what is a public key, what is a private key, what is a blockchain, how to buy a Bitcoin, what is Bitcoin, and so on. So we, as a community, right, we have to do a much better job at explaining to people both the risks and the opportunity, the golden opportunity of Bitcoin being this new store of value that they can really rely on to get to financial freedom. They're not going to get there by accumulating dollars.
All right, good news. We have Peter back. Peter, we missed you. It was a bit civilized and quiet, but we're glad to have you back to add some more fireworks and spice. And we have some questions for you, Peter, seeing as you took issue with the fact of Bitcoin being the most effective inflation hedge. Our viewers want to know, Gleep in particular wants to know how you define an inflation hedge.
Turbo Jerko.
Yeah, well, so an inflation
Yeah,
hedge
that's
has
what
to
everybody
be
says.
a
That has it cause
commodity,
you
for
can't be
example, or an
thinking that
asset
it's not
that
worth anything
is going
if you
to
have some stock
maintain
in it.
its relative value with other commodities in an inflationary time period. So, for example, when you have inflation, prices are going up, right? The price of food is going up. The price of energy is going up. And so if you have your savings in paper and everything that you want to buy is getting more expensive, you're losing purchasing power. So what you need to do is store your savings in something that can go up in price along with these other commodities. So gold is an inflation hedge because gold is a commodity like copper or like oil or like wheat. And gold has historic relationships with other commodities. You know, how much gold do you need to buy oil, or how much gold do you need to buy soybeans? You can look through historic relationships and you can compare. But you can't store soybeans. Because obviously you're going to need a lot of them, and they can rot. You can't store the oil. I mean, you need a huge storage facility. So even though you need those things, they're cumbersome and expensive to try to store. But
$2
gold,
away
you
from
can
my
get a lot of
prediction.
value in with small space. I mean, most
$7.99.
people could put all
801.
the gold
Boom, we
they'll
did it.
ever own in a shoebox.
We did it. Okay,
So you can hold gold
257.
and
It's at 255.
store value,
It's hit
because what you're
256. It's
storing
gonna hit
is the value of the metal
Ethereum,
itself.
257.
And you know that people are going to need gold in the future, just like they're going to need other commodities. But Bitcoin isn't needed for anything. It isn't used for anything. It doesn't have any historic price relationships to anything.
And it's still going.
You know,
Here
it's
goes
amazing to try to say it's a store of value or an inflation hedge, and then tell people that it's going to go up 10 times, 50 times, 100 times. They're going to be rich. Nothing that's just a hedge, that's just a store of value, can deliver those type of returns. The promise of Bitcoin isn't that just hold on to Bitcoin and you're going to stay even. You're going to stay ahead of inflation. That's not why people are buying Bitcoin, to stay even. They think they're going to get rich off of Bitcoin.
Dude,
they
there
think
it goes.
they're going to retire
There it goes.
off of this windfall.
We just hit the high.
Because they think the whole world is going to pile in the Bitcoin after they do, that somehow they're getting in on the ground floor and they're going to make a killing, just like the people who bought Bitcoin 10 years ago when it was pennies or
We just
dollars
hit the
of
24-hour high
Bitcoin.
of
And
these
just
guys.
like they got
It
rich,
went right through my prediction.
people who are buying it now are going to get just as rich, because they're also getting in on the ground floor.
Fine.
You know, it's 60,000. Well, they're saying it's going to go to 1 million or 10 million. And so, you know, people are going to get rich. That is not an inflation hedge. It's not a store value. It's a
1260.
lottery ticket, is what
I
it
think you're
is.
repeating yourself, Peter. I think you're
All
repeating
right,
yourself.
Alex, we have a
Let's move
question
on.
for you. We have a question from you from Anna. Is it a good idea to hold only Bitcoin and no gold as an inflation
16.8
hedge
went
protection?
right
Do
through
you
it,
need to carry your
16.821,
Bitcoin holdings
guys.
with gold
Both
for a
of my
successful
predictions.
portfolio? Alex.
Yeah,
I'm so glad I
definitely
stayed
think
live.
that none of us know
Again,
where Bitcoin or
once
gold
again,
are going, and because of that,
do
you
this
need to
with you guys.
diversify. The question is, how much gold and how much Bitcoin? So if you're a bigger believer in digital assets, you may have 20% in, if you have 70% in traditional assets and 30% in these non-fiat denominated assets, you might say, okay, 20% in Bitcoin and Ethereum and 10% in gold, or the reverse, right? So each person has to decide what exposure they want, but you basically want both insurance policies. You want the doomsday insurance policy that kind of, again, if the dollar collapses completely, probably both of those assets are going to do well, but Bitcoin is probably going to do 10 times better than gold. So that is really, but no one knows the answer to that. So
Yeah, why should Bitcoin do 10 times better than gold? I mean, you're just saying that. But, you know,
Well,
more
Peter,
scary.
we have a
Dude, look at
question for
this.
you,
Look
Peter,
at this
from someone
fucking.
in our
Look at
audience.
goddamn Ethereum, man.
And Ian wants to know,
Do you guys
why
see the
wouldn't you
spike
hold some
on
Bitcoin
Ethereum?
as a speculative tool? Keep gold as an inflation hedge, but if you even think that it's going to rise, why not hold some Bitcoin and enjoy the ride along with it, Peter?
Well, I don't know that it's going to be an enjoyable ride. It may be a very bumpy ride, and it may be going in the direction that people don't expect. Look, I would rather speculate in other areas where I see a lot more upside potential relative to the downside risk. And by the way, also on inflation hedges, I think common stocks can be very good inflation hedges. Real estate can be very good inflation hedges, because inflation transfers money from creditors to debtors. And so there are a lot of companies that have a debt on their balance sheet. Inflation wipes out their debt. They own real assets. You want to own real things during an inflationary time period, real plant
At some point,
equipment,
food
real
is more valuable
resources.
than gold.
I don't consider, Bitcoin to be anything real. It's just an intangible speculative token, again, that has value because people want to ascribe value to it. But that can change very quickly. I mean, what if Bitcoin drops sharply over the next 6 to 12 months? What if the price goes back down to 20,000 or 10,000? How many people will still value it? How many institutions will still want it?
I'll still value it. I'm a hodler.
Well, we seem to have lost Peter there.
A sharp reversal in the price.
I agree with Peter that it's been an unreal ride, 21 million%. So it is an unreal ride. And
Well, Alex, we've lost Peter there, which kind of brings me to one of our next questions, which is from one of our viewers. What happens in the case of a zombie apocalypse, if you will, a real doom and gloom scenario, a cyber attack, a nuclear attack, power grids go out? How would Bitcoin fare in this type of catastrophe when gold is traditionally thought of as the way to survive such a doom and gloom scenario? Alex.
So gold, like banks, like the US dollar, is still a centralized system. It still relies on somebody being the basically the intermediary, the toll collector, who's actually intermediating all these transactions. The beauty of Bitcoin is that it's completely decentralized. There is no CEO of Bitcoin. There is no God of Bitcoin, and basically you can transact with anyone on the planet in a direct way, from his wallet to your wallet.
Well, I guess the question, Alex, is what happens when the power grids go out? We've got no internet. This is like the real catastrophe scenario.
Well, you wait until all these things come back and start running again, But when they start running again, there's a high chance that your bank is not going to run, and your vault that holds all your gold is not going to open. But there's a very good chance that you will be able to transact in Bitcoin with any counterparty.
In this end of the world scenario, your gold will work, your bullets and guns will work, and your spam, your canned spam and canned water will work. All right, Peter, we have a question for you. What is your, from Genie in a Bottle, what is your opinion generally on decentralized peer-to-peer systems? If you don't like Bitcoin, do you like the idea of transacting in general without a third party? How are you on DeFi, I guess, is the question from Genie in a Bottle, Peter.
Well, I don't see the problem with third parties. In fact, there's third parties all over in Bitcoin. I mean, most people, when they transact in Bitcoin, there are third parties involved. They have these wallets, they have exchanges, they have custodians. So most of the Bitcoin transactions are not just between two people. One guy has Bitcoin and one guy wants it. There are intermediaries that get involved in the process. And the world has been dealing with intermediaries and third parties and counterparties, for thousands of years. I mean, it's worked fine.
Look at what's going on the charts.
So I don't see that there's a problem there. But again, I do think, as we mentioned earlier in the whole process, that I think that blockchain and the digital era makes the gold standard so much more efficient than it was in the past. And it worked very well in the past when all we had was paper currency to denote ownership of gold. When you had your gold that was stored at a blacksmith and then later at a bank, and the evidence of ownership was paper, was a note that would circulate as a medium of exchange and act as a substitute for the money that backed it up. And today, with the digital age, you have all sorts of trusted custodians that could hold custody of gold, and the ownership of that gold could be expressed digitally through a cryptocurrency using a blockchain, and people can transact in that legitimate gold-backed cryptocurrency. They can save in it. They can price their products in it. They can denominate contracts in it. It would work beautifully, just like it worked in the past, except you wouldn't need silver or copper, because in the past, when you wanted to buy something with gold, if you wanted to buy something inexpensive, you couldn't, get a quantity of gold small enough. But with blockchain, you can take a gram of gold and split it up into tiny fractions, so that it's possible to buy, a pack of chewing gum and pay for it with gold.
Is the high, the daily high.
Buy a cup of coffee.
And yet no one is doing that. In 100 years, no one has done that.
Ethereum.
No, you can do it right now.
I predicted 800 on Bitcoin, which is 826.
Gold, PAX G.
But see, the technology is there. The world is not doing it yet.
All right, Alex.
No
I
one
think
wants to
Peter's.
use it.
I think Alex's
No,
bigger
no,
point is
they
that you
don't
can
want
go.
to use it now because they don't need it, because the dollar works fine, the euro works fine, the yen works fine. But when inflation really picks up and people lose confidence in those fiat currencies and they want to move away, then that's what they'll do.
Great,
They
we
will
have it
look
ready.
for.
We have it
But
ready.
they're not going to go to Bitcoin. Bitcoin is only desired now as a get-rich-quick scheme. It is not an alternative to fiat currencies. It is just a way that people think they're going to get
You're right.
rich.
Instead
They're
of,
buying it.
instead of the 1% getting rich, the 99% are getting rich.
Now the 99% are going to go
All
broke.
right.
They're not going to get rich this way. They're going to go broke this way. That's a lie.
Go talk to my 1.5 million customers. Let's see if you
Yeah,
want.
yeah.
hopefully
I
some of
should.
them are watching this.
I
All
should
right.
talk some sense into them because you got them all brainwashed.
All right. Hopefully some of them are
They're
listening.
like
But
sheep.
Alex,
You're leading to the slaughter.
That's why they call me the machine, you know?
Alex the Machine Mashinsky, I guess Peter's bigger point is if we do need to go on the gold standard, perhaps a gold standard on the blockchain is the ultimate solution if fiat currency is completely debased. And it doesn't sound like you're necessarily opposed to that concept, Alex. You're just saying that you haven't seen proof that it's what the people want so far. Final question for both of you. What do you see the impact of central bank digital currencies being on impact? Alex, how do you see a CBDC, a digital dollar, if it comes to that, if the Fed does go that way, how do you see that impacting Bitcoin, Alex?
Well, again, we don't need to extrapolate or imagine things. It's already happening in China. Over 200 million people in China already use digital yuan.
Turbo
By the
Jacko.
Winter Olympics, by next
Thinks
year,
he can pick
China
out her
promised
accent.
over a billion
LOL.
people.
But you can't
that use-
compare, Alex, you can't compare the yuan to the dollar. The question is, if you have FedCoin and every single transaction between people is now known, the government can see every time you spend a cent, what does that mean for Bitcoin? Does it mean that people will want more Bitcoin because they want to preserve privacy? Or does it mean that it puts Bitcoin in potential danger of the government saying we can't have a CBDC and Bitcoin at the same time?
92% of dollar transactions
Turbo
are digital
Jacko.
today, already. The
Bitcoin
government
will go
sees
poof.
everything.
Turbo
It sees
Jacko.
every SWIFT transaction, it
Get
sees
out.
every money transmission transaction. They just lowered the bar from $10,000 to $600. They see every transaction $600 or more. So every institution, every financial institution has the obligation, legal obligation, to report all that information. So it's already happening. So none of that has affected Bitcoin. None of that, none of these requirements.
So you don't see it as a negative nor as a positive for Bitcoin. You don't see that it may drive more people.
Bitcoin is not a way to hide. Bitcoin is a permanent record. The worst way in the world to try to hide your transaction is to go to an immutable blockchain in which your transaction is
Turbo
recorded for a
Jacko.
lifetime.
Oh,
Right?
wait, that's hard.
It's not. I
Billy
know a lot of
Bob
people
Thornton.
say that it's used by
What up,
criminals
Nate?
and this and that, but it's the dumbest way for a criminal to
Yo,
transfer
Billy Bob.
assets from point A to point B. Okay, so I don't see that as the use case, right? Today the use case
There
is
is no
more
use case.
value.
That's not good for the criminals.
It's
That
more
it
value.
can't be used to launder money.
I guess, Alex,
That
some of
might
the
have been
points.
Call him a money launderer.
I guess the point is that in a world of increasing control and centralization, and if FedCoin were to present
Wow.
increasing control and be
It's always
seen
a
as
different
that,
problem.
that,
Yes.
that, that Bitcoin
He's a
may
thief.
be seen as the decentralized libertarian answer and as a pushback to excessive government control. Alex,
He's a
thank you
thief
for
and a
that answer.
fucking
Pete, I
liar.
want to get your thoughts on that, the impact of a potential FedCoin on
Billy Bob
Bitcoin.
Thornton.
What do you think would happen?
Right on,
I don't
Billy.
think it
Smoking
has
on
any
Sleepy
impact on
Joe
Bitcoin.
OG.
I mean, Bitcoin's going to
Dispensary
collapse
got a new
with or
strain.
without
Guys, look at the
Bitcoin,
spike on
whether it
ratios.
happens before or after. I think the implications for individual liberty are
You guys notice I
profound.
called this
I
spike?
don't like the idea of the
You
government.
guys, I told you about the downward wedge
every
pattern.
single transaction
It was going to
we
result
do.
in
I mean,
spike
I
upwards.
agree that
Did
they
you
know
guys-
most of them.
you guys
because
remember that?
most
Did
of
you
the
guys catch that at
transactions
all?
are already digital. I mean, I use very little cash in my everyday life. So
Man, if I
most of
start
the
trading,
purchases
you
I
guys are
make
going to hate me.
are through the banking system somehow.
I'm gonna
through
have
my
a
credit
Lambo
card
in like a week.
And so, those transactions are there. But I know that there are transactions that take place in cash, and the government does not know about those transactions. And obviously, if it eliminates cash, it will know about every transaction. But this opens up the door for a far more tyrannical government in the future, where a resistance might try to develop among the populace to a government that is tyrannical, that is oppressive, and to the extent that there is a movement to resist the illegal power of government, it will be much easier for the government to thwart that resistance if it's impossible for people to organize because they can't transact with one another in a way that the government can't spy on them.
Billy Bomb
And, that may seem, like a very paranoid Orwellian kind of fear, but it's there. I mean, I would not put anything by this government. The more power you give the government,
Yeah,
the
this
more
does not seem
abusive they're going to
sustainable to
become. Power corrupts.
Billy Bomb
Absolute
Thornton.
power corrupts absolutely.
Off with Peter's
So I
head.
don't see it as a positive development if the government can succeed in knowing every single transaction we could possibly make and being immediately informed. And I think the Federal Reserve will have even more power to do even more damage to the value of a digital dollar than with the paper dollar. I think it'll be easier to create them. I think it will be easier to manipulate interest rates, maybe to even bring interest rates negative, to try to micromanage consumption in the economy. So, I don't see it as a net positive.
What do you think it means? What do you think it would mean for gold?
Well, gold's going higher, just like all commodities are going higher because we're having inflation. I mean, fiat money, paper money is going to lose value. And, even if you tie that paper money and make it digital, there's not going to be any limit to how many digital dollars, Fed coins, the Fed could create. They'll just keep creating them. And so their purchasing power will go down. So gold's going to go up. And I do think eventually gold will be remonetized because gold works as money, and with today's technology, gold will work even better as money in the future than it did in the past.
All right,
Well,
final
I
thoughts
agree.
from both of you. Peter, where do you see the price of gold this time next year?
Well, I mean, I generally answer that question. I think it's going higher, although it hasn't gone much higher. Although it did, it bottomed out at around 1,500. Actually 1,050 in 2015. So ever since then, ever since the Fed, finally started raising rates, the price of gold has resumed its uptrend. But it's had a little trouble, around the 2,000 level, 1,900, 2,000. But I think once it really takes out the highs, 2,000, 2,100, I think we're headed higher. I think we're headed much higher. I mean, gold's not going up in a vacuum. I mean, everything is going to get more expensive, including gold. But I think as the public around the world really starts to perceive the threat of inflation and the idea that the central banks are not going to be able to turn it off, that they've let the genie out of the bottle and there's no putting it back, people are going to be searching for real alternatives to the fiat currencies that they have. And I think they're going to gravitate back to gold, especially, the people that have been suckered into a Bitcoin and other cryptocurrency. When these things collapse, they'll try to salvage whatever they've got left, and maybe they'll put that into gold.
All right, you do drive your point home, don't you, Peter? All right, Alex, where do you see the price of Bitcoin this time next year?
Well, first, I think Peter definitely wins this debate in his ability to say the longest sentence without taking a breath. I definitely cannot do that. But I agree with Peter that gold is going higher. It's a heavier commodity, so it's just not going to go as high as Bitcoin. And by the way, both the SEC and the CFTC determined that both Bitcoin and Ethereum are commodities, to Peter's point before. So to say that these are something else, they're not something else. According to the law in the United States, they're both commodities. So I think we are going to hit 23 to 2,500 on the gold next year because of this inflation concerns. And I am placing a bet that Bitcoin will be above 150,000 by tax day, by April 15th. We will see Bitcoin going at or above 150,000. It will take a correction after that. I said that several times. It will go back below 100,000. But we have not seen the blow off top yet for Bitcoin.
150,000 by April. All right, look, let's leave it on a note that you both agree, and you both agree that gold is going up. All right, final words. Go ahead, Peter.
Just because the government says they're commodities for the purpose of regulation, and that's how they're being regulated, doesn't make them a commodity in the true sense of the word. I mean, they're not used for anything, so they're not actual commodities, but the CFTC is regulating them because they're defining them as a commodity as opposed to a security or a currency, but they're actually neither. They're just tokens. That's really what they are.
Alex, now I'm going to have to give you a chance to reply to that, and then we need to wrap this up.
So look, I think both Peter and I, on a serious note, right? I mean, both Peter and I are concerned about the billions of people out there who have their assets at risk, right? So if you have fiat currencies, and you don't understand what's happening, it's not just happening in the United States, it's happening all over the world, right? All of these currencies are being debased. First, you're getting taxed, and then your government debases your currency. So you're losing twice, right? And we all agree on that. The thing that each person has to decide, every person watching this debate has to decide, how much exposure do I get to other assets? And what are the good assets, right? So if you buy one Satoshi and you cannot sleep at night, that means you have too much Bitcoin. Okay, so the issue is not Bitcoin or gold or something else. You have to have comfort, right? Understanding what's happening, and then doing an allocation that is not in fiat currency, not in Japanese yen, not in euros, not in dollars, right? Again, your homes are denominated in dollars. Your salary, your savings, everything is based in dollars. You have to detach from that. So that's really what is the question that each one of us has to ask ourselves, and then do an allocation. And if you sleep well at night, that means you have a perfect allocation, a Goldilocks of all the basket of all the right assets that you need.
All right, Alex, thank you for that. Peter, thank you. We would like
Dude, I was covering Bitcoin. What is it? $60,994. Oh my God, that's so funny. I've got a video, an old video.
Josh G. Thank you, Nay.
All right, we are live. I'm just going to go ahead and say that we are live. Holy shit! I'm going to take that leap. The Grinch is on Nay's podcast today. Jimmy Carter, who are you talking about? Going for that transparent chat look. Yeah, like that. That's good. It's working for me. Hey, we already got our first customers. We've got James McGill. Hey, James. It looks like John Henderson was watching the older show. Nick. And comment. Debbie, hello, Kat, Luke. Thank you for the digits, Nick and Luke. Hey guys. What a freaking day today it's been.
Jimmy Carter. That Peter guy.
The Peter Schiff. Yeah, the crypto
right.
is off the chain.
You're right.
Oh man, we won't talk about that yet. We'll get into that a little later in the show. Everything's looking good. Okay, cool. Let me get smoking with y'all. Let's see how shit was looking. Ethereum was at 1908. Huh. Ethereum was only at 1908. Bitcoin had topped out at 61.7 that day. So, not only is it a lot of green, but sushi and Mana's at 62% are at 20% right now. like ungodly numbers.
Wow.
It's fucking crazy. Now, this might be a
Oh,
common
little
thing.
Rogie.
I don't know.
Look at
I don't
little
know if it is or is
Rogie.
not.
He's going
But
to jump
now
up
that
on
I'm
the couch.
now that I'm looking at it, what do
Look
I
at
stream
little
on?
Rogie
I
gonna
stream to
jump
YouTube,
up on the
Facebook,
couch.
Twitch, Periscope, as you already know,
Think about it.
D Live,
You got big ol' head.
and you can check all
You
of
got
them
big
out.
ol'
They're all
head.
live right now. If you
He
go,
grew into his head a little
check
bit.
them out. They're all at Nays Garden on those various.
That's when his head was really big. His
internet.
body wasn't big
Except
enough
for,
yet. His chest is way
Instagram, I'm Nays Garden Show. Everything else, it's Nays Garden.
bigger. Go, little bees. Jump
I'm
up on that
streaming
couch.
6 channels on YouTube right now.
Jump up there,
Let me
bees.
get some
You can do
What do
it.
you guys say? You guys want to talk coffee and crypto?
Jump up
You want to talk crypto and drink coffee? You guys want to smoke cannabis, drink coffee, and talk crypto?
Why did I move that damn camera? Why did I move the damn camera? That's the question. Damn it.
Make sure to share this and tell all your friends about it. Of course, we're hidden, but if you guys share it around, maybe we'll get a few extras here.
Huh. I don't think Rogie decided to not jump up on the couch. It's funny. Oh, wait. There he goes. He's thinking about it. Yeah, he's gonna do it. Boom!
Josh
There he
G.
goes.
Throwback Jack.
Yeah, it's a throwback.
Tony Tiger,
I miss my coffee mug.
I'm a big fan.
Look
Big
at that
fan
coffee
of Tony the Tigers. They're great.
It's nice to be able to
This
go
is a
back in
mug
time
from
and
Mountain Man.
look at the market like
This
this.
is a Mountain Man's mug. This isn't just a regular old mug. This is
Dude,
a mug.
We
for-
should do throwback market reports like this. This is fun, actually. Let's see what the market was doing a year ago today on Nays Garden, you know?
Josh G. That was a badass mug.
Yes, it was.
That's the one that friend made for YA Right.
Yeah, neighbor down the street. $12.62 Ethereum. 12.69 is now the 24-hour high of Ethereum. I bring it to you live on this show. As well as Binance has hit a 24-hour high, $260. So I bring you double 24-hour highs during this live broadcast. 3-hour show. Hey. Dude. Jiminy.
Yeah.
How dare you not speak to me? How long have you been in here?
Like 30 seconds.
Okay, cool. What's up, son?
Not too much, me.
I've been live for 3 hours. I called a giant spike was coming in the market, and we're all looking at the spike that I called before it ever happened, bro. I was like, there's a giant downward wedge pattern formed on the 24-hour. We're going into a giant spike, and then I called where it was going to go. I said Bitcoin's going to go to 16,800. I said Ethereum's going to go to 1257.
Pretty goddamn good, huh? Right past him.
Fucking Nate.
Dude.
Nacius, man.
Dude.
Nacius.
Nastradamus.
Nastradamus, yeah.
Goddamn right. What, son?
Josh G.
I'll smoke a bong rip to that.
Has it been that long?
Sorry you do
Damn
watching
time
that interview
flies
with
when you're having fun.
What's that now?
I saw you watching the thing with the guy from Celsius from a year ago.
Isn't
Whatever.
that
I saw a
crazy,
little bit of-
bro? He totally warned everybody that this guy was a scammer. And nobody
Yeah.
listened to him. The guy was a scammer. That's the guy that's going to go to prison, bro.
Good.
Yeah, that motherfucker, they're charging him now in New York, and there's going to be more charges. I want to file charges against him. You know, I want to see that there's criminal charges filed against him for robbing me of my money. He stole money. I want to just call the police and just, you know, fill out a report and just be like, I want to fill out a police report. This guy stole money from me, crypto money. And just, you know,
I mean, you should be able to.
file fucking charges against that bitch. All right, so you ready?
Yeah.
Cheers,
I'm ready.
Jiminy. Cheers, Josh G in the chat.
Cheers.
Jimmy Carter. Cheers, everybody that's over there on the Rumble. That was Notlin that I'd seen. Cheers. I love it when I nail my predictions like I did today.
Pretty good with those. Oh.
We called this spike before Ratios did.
That's right on, man. What is it? 6821. 820.
16,820. And it's finally spiking downwards. So we'll see what happens here if it's a reconsolidation. And if it keeps going up, this could be a giant move upwards for crypto, which it desperately needed to get close to 17,000 and get Ethereum near 1,300. So
Francesco Morrow. Movie time. See you later, Nay.
bye, Francesco.
And I can't wait till they're done fixing the balconies. I've been here 2 years. I haven't been able to go off the balcony.
Why not? Because construction?
Because the first year they had to, you weren't allowed on your balcony. It's fine. There's nothing wrong with it. It's just, construction. And the second year they got scaffolding around my building, so they're walking around, looking in my windows and shit sometimes. And because of supplies and labor shortages, it's taken like They were supposed to take 6 months, and it's taken something like what has been now 10 months, 10 almost 12 months. Yeah, it'll be a year in March. Bucket thing. But they're not taking anything off the rent.
So many Bitcoin transactions. It's all totaled up here. Wow.
I hope they're still breaking the break is exciting going on. The data break you have is still doing it. I didn't know.
Ratius is still saying buy. Dude, Ratius is still saying buy.
Daniel Andresi.
Massive spike.
So what's on the agenda for today,
I
Nay?
was going to go outside, Daniel, and check out my little waterfall that I got. I might alter it if I have to. Just check the how the creek is flowing. And if everything's flowing okay, I might not have to do anything. I just go down there and watch it and stare at it. Maybe I'll make you a little video. It's pretty goddamn relaxing and awesome. I might move the bench over near it. I've got a bench out there in the grass, and I might move that over closer to the waterfall. I don't know. I might make the waterfall louder. I think I'm going to make the waterfall louder. What's that, bro?
Sorry, man. I didn't mean to interrupt you. I said I'd be by the waterfall if I was
Daniel
looking outside
Andresi.
right now. No everywhere.
That sounds cool. I wouldn't mind seeing that. Billy Ballantyne. Morning.
Billy, good morning. I'm looking at my last Bitcoin purchase. So I bought some Bitcoin, right? I bought a quarter of a Bitcoin, almost. And when I did that, I had I believe it was $109 worth of Bitcoin sitting in the account. And then the purchase itself cost why doesn't it say? Okay, I have to do the math. I can find out exactly. Wait, what if I click web receipt? It might say how much the. Yes, $40.23 was the fee. Okay, so I take.
Yeah.
Billy Ballantyne. That guy's name is actually Dick Rader. Sweet.
09 plus
Daniel Andresi.
4023.
I kind of pulled some of my Bitcoin out for a couple days until this X-Class solar flare expires in case the electronics get messed up in the next week.
$149.23. I have to subtract that from what I have. So I'm just going to say minus, and we'll just go back. And this should give me my profit. No, it didn't work. It didn't give me my profit, so I fucked that up. Wow. Wait. How do I go back? Can I go back? Yes, it says it. So it was 149.23. That's right there.
Daniel Andresi. I took about 45,000 out of my Bitcoin, but I could always put it back in after the solar flare expires here in 5 days to a week.
I can open up another calculator. Leave that number up. Yes, I leave that number up and open up another calculator. And then I could just take this number. And subtract that number. So I'm $64.70 in profit on my purchase. It's not that big of a deal. I'm not that excited about it, but that was my big fucking investment to make
Daniel Andrassy.
$64.
I just wish I had put a $1,000 into Bitcoin back in 2013.
Daniel Anderson, 2013. It's a long time ago, bro. Okay, Google.
Jimmy Carter.
What was the price of Bitcoin in 2013?
Alex Jones sells Faraday cages. It will protect your hard wallet.
According to Sophie, price of one Bitcoin in 2013, $13 to $1,100.
Billy Ballantyne.
Starting at $13
Solar
per
flare.
year. The price
Huh?
of Bitcoin rose to almost
Oh shit,
$250
Australia is in a blackout.
correcting downward over 50%.
Shit.
Yeah, to protect your hard wallet, yeah, from getting scanned and stuff. So I've only made $64. It's kind of pathetic.
I had his hard drive filled with Bitcoin in 2000 and fucking 8.
Daniel Andrassy. You see what I mean, nay.
He'd be a multi-millionaire. Like, I don't even know. Fuck, he used to buy online gold with it. Yeah, it was worth nothing back then. Really. Yep. But no one knew. Alright, you think about it. He spent hundreds of Bitcoins. Like
Billy Ballantyne. A Faraday cage is just a steel cage. Make it out of chicken wire. Fuck buying one.
That's comfortable. That won't scratch your phone at all. And you put your wallet in the pocket with your phone. W shape on Bitcoin.
Jimmy Carter.
The problem is you're just looking for
Chicken wire. Might as well use a gingerbread house.
a gingerbread house. That would be better though, because I like the way gingerbread tastes. Fuck the protection, I'm hungry. What am I hearing? Oh, my mom is doing stuff in the kitchen, making a racket. It's already almost lunchtime. Holy shit, we've been sitting here for 3 hours and 12 minutes. People are thinking the market's going to drop. People are saying in ratios that everything's
Billy
about to drop.
Ballantyne. Fine pay $50 for fancier chicken wire from Jeff Bezos.
It would be
Seems more intelligent.
common for this kind of a peak to drop suddenly. I would expect it to drop down. You know?
Jimmy Carter. Ehaha.
Yeah, I would think it would drop down to close, but on the way up. Like a big test and then back down.
Bug. Hi, friends.
Hey, Bug, what's up, buddy? I like the way she goes, Bug. Like she's not excited to say that. Bug. So, if my prediction's correct now I'm predicting it to go back down. We'll see. Because usually that's what it does. Man, if it goes up,
Bug.
that'd be great.
Laughing smiley.
I have no idea what it's going to do, though. Laughing smiley. Bug. Laughing smiley. Am I louder now?
Jimmy Carter.
Do you hear me better now?
Bah humbug.
Now that I've got the microphone turned towards me? It was away from me. Bug. Who dis? Who dis? Who dis? My mother. Who that? My mother. Psh, unreal. Dude, I've been live for like ever. But listen, I wanted to call this spike.
Ha ha, yeah, it sounds good.
I called the spike.
Billy Valentine. Ha ha ha. When she says our names, it sounds like an introduction at a royal ball.
I nailed this giant
When
spike
she
before it
says
happened.
Sounds like my wife wants me to kill a spider.
If I had bet on it with leverage,
Bug.
I could have made a ton of money.
Here's a hoot and howl.
But I
What
didn't
an interesting name.
because I really don't know how to trade. So, but I know what the market's going to do before it does it now, and it feels good. So I'm going to be doing more predictions on here. So make sure you tune back in. We're going to be
Here's a hoot and
live
howl.
later today.
Bug.
I'm assuming by 4 for a 4:20 show. I'm thinking we'll see. I don't know. Could be later than that. But I love you guys, and I'll see you then. It was a long show this morning, so you guys take care. Oh, and check us out. We're over on Rumble. Nays Garden on Rumble. Nays Garden on 6 YouTube channels.
Horton hears a hoot and howl. See you at Forslick.
At Nays Garden on Twitter. Ben Shader on Facebook. And at Nays Garden on Twitch. So
Take care, friend.
take care, friend. And go, support me on Twitter for sure by retweeting and liking some of my tweets. I put predictions of crypto up there as well. At Nays Garden. All right, love you guys. Bye-bye. Hashtag keep it open. So if I got a lot of those, I would feel guilty about shutting down a show. Remember that. Hashtag keep it open at the end of the streams, guys, if you want me to try to keep it open for you. Hashtag keep it open.
No, good.
New P kiosk. Hash keep it open.
Yes, newbie. Exactly.
Josh G. Hash keep it open.
Yes, hashtag keep it open, Josh.
Horton hears a hoot and howl. Hash shut it down.
Horton says a hoot and howl says shut it down.